You asshole.
Every day I'm fucking mad.
I'm the king of the world!
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide.
You better start talking.
I was just lying there.
Wendy's bucket of nuggets and bucket of chili. So you can make a little chicken nugget cereal.
Hey, chill. I want what you want, brother.
Oh, yeah?
Good morning, fellow YouTubers. Bear Prepper here.
Hey there, friends and family. This is Dan. I'm here with the Dan and Adam Are Afraid podcast. It is episode 87. It is February 8th, 2026. But for you, it is our Valentine's Day special. And I'm joined here by my co-host and lovely Cupid cherub-like figure, Adam.
Dan, it is great to be back after a long absence. I feel like I haven't done this. I feel like I haven't done this in a week, maybe two.
Yeah, no, I was listening to like the Lily's Shoo Shoo episode, and I was like, "You're barely on this, and you weren't on the Burning one at all." It's been a while, long time coming. Adam, back on the podcast.
Yeah, I like to keep stuff. The more rare. I'm like a rare Pokemon.
And I'm hitting you with the heart gun, the heart ray. You gotta laugh and giggle now. There we go. It's Valentine's Day, and for Valentine's Day, we have a very special episode planned, and we have many guests, more than I expected. Who am I going to introduce first? Well, the first one I can see next to Adam is the big boss, MJ.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. As always, pleasure to be here.
Oh yeah. How are you doing, MJ? It's been a long time.
It's been a minute. Yeah, everything's going well. 2026. I'm working on building my Clawbot or whatever, little AI assistant, and living, Gonna have it. I think I'll finally have it do my Letterbox account for me or something. I neglect that thing.
Oh no. We're going to include it in the description, folks, but just know it's been neglected. Mine is too. I watch like one movie a week, but we're joined here as well. We got many guests. We're going to keep it rolling. We're joined by returning champion, Various Spaghetti, Blake, one of my good friends.
Now, Adam,
How we doing this morning?
We're doing well. We're doing good under the circumstances, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad that we all could come together this morning for a centralized goal. And that goal is to take somebody out. I mean, wait, no, that's not what we're doing. Wait, no. To review this film.
We got to kill Joey.
Yeah.
Watch your back.
Well, bring it up, Joey. We'll mention him now. We got obviously a big guest on the show. He's been on a lot of episodes recently. It's Joey from Kentucky.
What's up? Super Bowl Sunday, and just like Marshawn Lynch used to do for the Seahawks, I will voluntarily put the team on my back if I have to. I'm here to participate. Thank you.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's Joey from Kentucky.
You asshole.
Every day I'm fucking mad.
Joey actually told me to get that sound clip, and I got home last night. I was like, I already clipped it, man. When I heard it in the movie, I clipped it. I was like, that is a sound clip right there.
You asshole.
Every day I'm fucking mad.
Yeah, glad to have you, Joey. Thanks for joining us. It's very important to me you're here.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
And lastly, but not least, we have our brother Tyler. The War Boys. The War Boys are riding again.
What's up, guys? Good to be back. I feel like it's been several months now, but the War Boys are indeed riding again.
Like
Never a war movie, but
like we'll do some Clint Eastwood next month.
Oh no, Oh, it's like our old sound drop from like 2019. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, that's it. We got our cavalcade here of people, and we're gonna get into it. We're just gonna fly right into it. We do have 2 topics up front that I want to jump into. First one I'm gonna leave to Adam because he wrote it.
No, Dan, I don't think I even watched the what was it, the Grammys? Was that the recent award show they had? That's for music, right?
Yeah, Grammys for music. Just happened.
I don't know. Everybody's talking about Billie Eilish at the Grammys, unintentionally quoting Eddington. Now, I think everyone in here has seen Eddington, but yeah, no, I didn't even hear it. I've just seen like countless fucking opinionated articles being like, Billie Eilish says no one is illegal on stolen land, and I brought this up. I don't even have much to say about it other than, it just seemed like a nice bit of kismet to have somebody saying that, soon after Eddington came out. And I don't know. I just obviously you see the usual rigmarole of like, there's conservative groups out there latching onto it and they're being like, oh, isn't that funny for her to say? And she lives on a mansion on stolen land. But I mean, wasn't that the point of what she was saying, is that we all live on stolen land? I don't know how everybody feels about it, but I don't know. It just tickled me.
Yeah. I guess when you bring up Eddington and Billie Eilish though, and you bring this up, I'm like, yeah, it is like that. Because anytime I hear about this stuff, I'm like, oh, people are like, but did they, I watched the Grammys and they said all the right things and they did all the right stuff. And it doesn't make a difference to fucking anybody. So it doesn't matter that Billie Eilish is up. No, she's essentially is the kid from Eddington. It's like, I don't have a right to speak, and I'll get down right after I get done making the speech.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. It's interesting online to see how many people are getting angry at this comparison. Like on the Ari Aster subreddit, I'm just noticing there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of I don't know if they call it brigading nowadays. Folks coming onto that subreddit and talking shit about Eddington and saying that it's led up to. Whoa. Well, it's being called a right-wing conservative movie now, and I don't know. That just makes me think of like what satire is, how satire can be misused, and I don't know.
I feel like the only people that think that are habitually online and need to fucking take a walk and do something else.
Touch grass, as our friends would say.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Life is very more nuanced, and I think that's like a feather in the cap for Eddington. Then that it's like making people have that reaction is wild, is brilliant piece of filmmaking. It's I think that's doing what it's intended to.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I agree. We're going to see probably as like the years come, like this movie should be elevated in the minds of elevated in the culture, as it were. It's crazy to me that like Eddington flops essentially, given like everything.
No
that's been
awards
going
either.
on. Yeah.
No awards.
I just rewatched it this week, and honestly, if I were to redo my list, it would be a solid 1 or number 2 for top films of last year.
It was great. Only slightly trumped by a Minecraft movie. Isn't that right, Spaghetti?
Yep. That's because Jared Hess didn't direct Eddington. If he would have, it would have been better. No, I'm kidding.
He might be up for Eddington too. I don't think they're gonna let Ari touch that one.
I think what was missing out in that movie was Walking Phoenix being like chicken jockey.
Yep.
Chicken jockey. I'm pro chicken jockey. I know I make fun on the podcast, folks, but I'm pro getting people into the theaters.
Although there is a vote for Pedro correlation between both movies. Jared Hess did Napoleon Dynamite also, but that was a stretch.
No, it works, man. Well, I think we've beat that topic to death. We love Eddington. Check it out. Check out Billie Eilish's music, or don't.
Dude,
I have an article.
Cool. She's got a big shirt.
She always does have a big shirt on. She always looks like They always point out she looks like a 90s fat rapper. I'm like, I guess so. So I have a topic here. This is a quick one we're going to roll through. Nothing says Valentine's Day. Nothing says I love you, honey, like an Olive Garden cook killing himself by dunking his head into searing hot deep fryer oil. You guys hear about this?
Crispy.
No.
I did.
An Olive Garden cook has died after he dunked his own head. Wait. Sorry. New York Post is asking me to support them. An Olive Garden cook has died after he dunked his own head into a searing hot deep fryer, as his coworkers frantically tried to thwart his gruesome suicide, authorities said. The employee, who hasn't been identified, thank God, stripped his clothes off and thrust his face into the fryer at the chain's restaurant in Williamsport, Pennsylvania last Friday afternoon. A male victim went headfirst into the fryers, dispatchers could be heard saying in a grim 911 call. I don't have a lot of details. A lot of people screaming. Some kind of burn victim, another operator could be heard saying. The cook was rushed to a nearby hospital to be treated for severe burns, but he later died from his injuries, authorities said. A female employee suffered minor burns after they tried to stop him. At least one customer tried to intervene. Both Olive Garden and authorities refused to release any details, only describing it as a suicide attempt. The restaurant shut down for several days in the wake of the incident, but has since reopened.
Oh, that'd be great. Like you get a few days off, probably unpaid, and then you get back in there and you're just like, oh yeah, this is where that guy stuck it. This is where that guy did that thing. And I saw like some other details, like, but these are probably just like, like hearsay that the guy was having in the midst of like a drug psychosis. Which, like, to me, that sounds like that's the only.
Makes sense.
That's the only way that's happening.
I was thinking like that, or like severe schizophrenia or something. You know, that's a wild way to take yourself.
Yeah,
out.
that's got to be miserable to go.
There's got to be better ways.
There's got to be better ways, and also, I mean, think about the line cook at the Olive Garden. Your coworker does that. You just immense. I can't imagine the trauma of witnessing that. You know, you didn't sign up for that when you're on board. I don't think they prepare you for that in the
training video.
The training video, yeah. Maybe now they're gonna have to include that.
What to do if your coworker attempts to commit suicide by dipping his head in hot oil?
I know it's horrible.
I don't know, man.
It's horrible to say, but do you think he breaded his face first?
Yeah.
No.
Might be the best thing that Olive Garden's made.
I think you just raw dogged it.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully it was okay. I'm not going to make jokes about it. This is awful. This is it's terrible.
The grim thing about it is like they're like we opened days later. It's like 4 days later they reopened. Probably. Did they just change the oil? Did they even change? I assume they changed the oil, but like that's it probably, right? They didn't replace the whole fryer.
I like to think they at least hope. Oh God, yeah, I don't want to think about that. Like that is expensive to get a new fryer in there, but I mean, it is Olive Garden. They got the money. Apparently, not enough money to I want to say shut down, but like, dear God, like, what company is going to do that nowadays? Like, you hear stories all the time of folks being like, "Yeah, so and so died at my work," and then 3 days later we were having a meeting. And somebody was like, "Who's going to take his cases over?"
What is that, brother?
When you're here, your family. I don't have anything. That was it. That was all my topics this week. I just thought that was so absurd and like late capitalism, whatever you would call it, is such a ridiculous thing. But that's it. That's all my topics. I want to be alive. Question mark. It's been a hard week, folks. It's been a hard month. But this is our Valentine's Day special. This is a Valentine for the weirdos out there. Adam, we watched a movie this week.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
I don't understand what the hell is going on with you. You guys don't work, you don't go to school, you don't do anything. All you do is lay around and drive your cars. You know how that makes me feel?
Mad.
Y'all want to go to a party?
Sure.
Welcome to the party.
I got a new boyfriend, Mom. What kind? A hug.
Might as well get hot.
Oh, baby, you know what I like.
Bobby and I have been friends since we were like almost born.
Raped Alec. Treats everyone like shit.
So what are you gonna do, Lisa?
He's the source of everybody's troubles.
Are we really gonna do this?
This guy deserves to die.
Turn those goddamn lights off!
Is he dead yet?
Getting there.
Mom, what if you witnessed a crime like a murder?
What are you kids up to, Allie?
You killed Bobby.
You murdered Bobby Kent?
I wouldn't even say they murdered him. I mean, he was fighting back.
Bully, yeah, it's a 2001 crime drama. This one's directed by Larry Clark, and it's actually based on the events surrounding the 93 murder of Bobby Kent. This movie, it stars Brad Renfro. How the fuck do you say this? How do you say this? Bijou Phillips, Rachel Miner, Michael Pitt, Leo Fitzpatrick, Daniel Franzese, Kelly Garner, and Nick Stahl.
All right, you hold your horses, bub. Rate the podcast on Apple or Spotify, leave a review, share it with a friend, send it to your family, hit the like button on YouTube, subscribe, drop a line, leave a comment, slam that notification bell, join the Discord, hang out and chat with us. Follow Dan's Night Out on Instagram. Check out the other links in our description. Dan and Adam rely on the kindness of listeners like you, taking the time out of your day to make a difference. And our bargain remains. If you leave a review, we will read it. Never get that line right. We will read it on the show, live on air. Thank you. Now on to the program. Thank you for joining us in episode 87, folks, of our Valentine's Day special. I'm hitting MJ with the heart ray. I want to start here. MJ, when did you first watch Bully?
So I watched it in probably, I think about 2005. I had gotten, it was like when HD TV was first coming out, and I was lucky enough to score a sweet Hitachi plasma. And so, but there weren't many channels that actually were broadcasting in HD yet. And it was on the HD net or whatever, the channel that actually had it. And I'm like, oh, Larry Clark. I'm like, I'm in. So I saw it a couple times, just that it was playing on my TV. And, even though it wasn't really truly HD, I don't know, it was probably a different conversation. But, coming after that was seeing Teenage Caveman, obviously knowing kids quite well, and the fondness of Harmony Korine. Was my first experience. And I guess Ken Park, I think I was mentioning to you, or in the Discord, it was a lot different watching it this time as the first experience of Ken Park, and I'm sure it'll be the same if I rewatch Teenage Caveman. It's watching it decades later, you're a different person, so it's much different. I think back then it was it had this a different coolness factor to it. It was oh wow, it's really gritty and edgy. It's you didn't seen anything quite like it before. But what remained was I the most interesting thing to me about this is how it's this true story, and it's Larry Clark true crime. But so I think that's the parallel from watching it now as more of an adult than back then. That's what kind of stuck, is that wild story.
It's real. It's a true story. We'll get into that. Because I know Tyler's time's a little short, I want to cut to him real quick. Tyler, when did you first watch Bully?
I saw this probably in the late 2000s. Actually, when I watched this, I think it's just like it was on HBO one night. My brother and Lance and I threw it on. It was, I mean, back then, this is no streaming, so I'm pretty sure we started it probably like half hour or so in the film. So I probably missed a good chunk of the beginning. I don't think I even, at this point, I might have not known who Larry Clark was. I think this movie, when I watched this got me into looking him up. Because I was, back at that time, I was getting really into just looking shit up on Wikipedia. So I would go on Wikipedia, read about him, I read about Kids. And this has introduced me to go watch Kids probably around like 2010. So I mean, at the time, I probably missed a lot of like the gratuitous sex scenes. So I kind of just thought this was like a movie about these violent kids. I mean, when I looked into it, I realized it was a true story, which going into it, I didn't know. So that, put a whole different perspective once I found that out. But yeah, I definitely didn't remember on this rewatch. I didn't remember too much from it. So it was kind of a whole different perspective this time.
So we got two people who've seen it so far. Spaghetti, what about you? When did you see Bully?
Yeah, so I'm probably the same as the other two answers. Mid to late 2000s. I was trying to think if I saw this or Kids first. Probably saw Kids first, but it was all around that time period where I was in high school or very beginning of college. And yeah, I do believe it was one of those repetitious movies that was on like HBO, as he mentioned, where that's where I probably caught it a little bit in cycles and then just pragmatically somewhere in there watched a full setting of it. And then, so somewhere around that period. Yep.
And then Joey, when did you first watch Bully?
I may have been the first of this group to see it. I don't know, because I want to say I watched it on HBO, and it would have been probably around my senior year of high school, or 2002, 2003, something like that. It's also possible I may have rented it. I don't remember, but I did see it when I was very young. I was still in school, and I could have rented it just because it said from the director of Kids, which I saw Kids. Like, I went to my dad's house to watch Woodstock 99, I think, on pay-per-view or something like that, and like Kids was on HBO or somewhere like really late at night, and I watched it, and that fucked me up. So knowing it was a crazy movie, but I do think it was just on HBO, kind of like how I saw Freeway. Like everybody said, it's one of those things that, it's 11:30. You go, oh, what's this shit? Oh, nudity? Okay, cool. Let's watch it.
Nice. I'll jump in for myself real quick before we jump to Adam, but I've never seen Bully. I was never aware of it until we started talking about Larry Clark's movies. And, I've been looking forward to seeing it for a long time. Adam, what about you? Have you ever heard of Bully prior to this podcast?
Prior to this podcast, no. I mean, my introduction to Larry Clark was, September 2024 when we watched Kids. And I don't know. Would I have watched this when I was younger? I think so. Like Tyler said, we were, especially with our older brother. If there was a movie with nudity, with drugs and crime, like that was definitely one that he would be bringing to the table. Kind of like what Joey said, would be like, oh, there's boobs in this. I want to watch it. And so even watching that, I kept picturing myself as like a kid being like this would have been such a gold mine of a movie to find back then. I'm jealous of you guys on the podcast because I'm like, damn, I wish I saw this when I was a teenager. This would have been fucking awesome. But yeah, this was my first time seeing it. Obviously, I heard of it because you watch Kids and you kind of like, well, what else has this guy fucking done? I didn't even look into it that much though, so a lot of it did come as like a surprise. Like I was like, holy shit! Like I didn't see this coming. Yeah. But yeah, no, first time. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Sorry, Adam Bot's here to stay.
The Adam Bot. Can me and the Adam Bot exist in the same podcast? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I wish I had seen that. Like, spoilers up front. I loved a lot of this movie. I wish I had time to rewatch it. I had to go paint houses yesterday. I paint houses, don't you know? Martin Scorsese.
I heard you paint houses.
Yeah. So bully. Let's have
bully.
MJ, you have the document up, right?
I do.
I want you to read the IMDb description there under the title.
A pack of naive teenagers conspire to murder a mutual friend whose aggressive demeanor has proven too much. It's 4 a.m. Do you know where your kids are? Would be the tagline.
So that's like a play on something else, right? Like that's a known tagline from something in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
That's it's 10 o'clock. It would be the local news. I think the news in Buffalo, New York still does it. It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
I already told you, no. Where is Bart? His dinner's getting all eaten.
Really? Because I was like, because at first I saw that and I was like, did that come from this movie? And I was like, there's no way. So I put a nice picture of Larry Clark here, our director. This is directed by Larry Clark. We've never highlighted Larry Clark's movies, and he was kind of like a shadowy figure to me. I didn't really understand where he stood with his filmography, where this stood, etc. So I want to go through that really quick. This was directed by our boy. His first movie was with Harmony Korine, Kids in '95. He then went to do something called Another Day in Paradise in 1998. I believe that had James Woods and someone else in it. And it was
Melanie Griffith. Yeah. That's a wild movie too. It's discussion for another time, but I haven't seen that one in a while, but I remember it being pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's kind of loosely based off a true story. I mean, I know about the author because I remember him coming up. What was that book, A Million Little Pieces, back in the day? And I guess the guy kind of ripped off the actual author who was like a real drug addict. So I want to see that one.
I haven't looked into it, folks, but I'm looking forward to Another Day in Paradise from 1998. Just known for being a flop and like kind of changed his trajectory in the industry. Maybe had that succeeded, he would have taken a different path. But it didn't, and we end up with Bully right afterwards. Bully in 2001, which is where we stand on this podcast, and we'll be talking about it a lot. Skipping over, he did Teenage Caveman in 2002. I almost suggested like, hey, and if anyone wants to watch Teenage Caveman, let's talk about that one too. This is already going to be too packed. We can't do that, and that movie deserves its own discussion maybe at some point. Don't know much about it, but I just know I watched the trailer for it one time, and I was like, oh, this looks like a weird like I don't know like 90s movie or 2000s TV movie, but it's like all of a sudden the Ken Park kids just show up, and you're like, what the fuck? Because it's like just some genre thing. And I'm interested in that one. Big one, Ken Park. We've already talked about Ken Park. We love Ken Park. Don't have the samples loaded up, but rest in peace, James Ransone. What's Up Rockers? This is another big one. This might be the one we hit up next. I want to check out What's Up Rockers. Do you guys have any history of that one?
I don't. I haven't seen that one actually.
Okay. Yeah. Well, seems like we need to check out What's Up Rockers. And then he did Destricted in 2006. Don't know much about it, but one I did highlight here was 42 One Dream Rush. It came out in 2010. It was an omnibus project bringing together acclaimed directors around the world, each contributing 42-second short films inspired by a dream. It was described as a collection of surreal, poetic, and experimental visions into a mosaic of oniric cinema. I don't know how to say that. It was produced by the vodka company 42 Below. Directors included David Lynch, Gaspar Noé, Harmony Korine, Leos Carax, Abel Ferrara, Kenneth Anger, Taika Waititi, Aja Argento, and James Franco. So I kind of want to check that out.
That's like tailor-made for this podcast. Yeah, we should check
it out. Like weird.
That is wild.
Boy, Leos Carax in there.
Dude, ever since I learned who he was, he just pops up everywhere now. I'm just like, oh my God. He's been introduced into the simulation.
Totally.
I want to shout that out. That was a pick by MJ. We're still talking about it.
Dude, I really enjoyed your guys' podcast on it. That was nice. Interesting. Yeah.
If you want to suggest a movie, suggest it. Leave a review. Leave it somewhere. We'll watch it.
Hit up our email, danandadamareafraid@gmail.com.
There's always the email. You want to get up close and personal, send it there. Something called Marfa Girl in 2012. You guys heard of Marfa Girl?
No.
No? Okay.
I heard about it from you.
I've just heard it's like really like, this is the movie that really turns people off. It obviously came out like, later in the 2012 era. By 2015, we had, 2016, we had like the cancel culture stuff going on, and, no one thinks of Larry Clark very positively anymore, and they definitely don't think of Marfa Girl 1 or 2 very positively, is my understanding. Also, something called The Smell of Us in 2014. I don't know. Last thing he's known for doing is a Day in the Life in 2021, which is a 15-minute short film about 2 teenagers from the same gang in Paris. The review states, 15 minutes of cigarettes. So he's still doing his thing in 2021. Curious. I wanted to, I guess, quickly take a pit stop here at the station. The ethics of Larry Clark. I'm just going to name some things real quick that you could use to describe that. Voyeurism, exploitation, authenticity, moral ambiguity, and the adult gaze on teen bodies. For me personally, those first 4 I don't give a shit about. I'm pro voyeurism. I'm pro exploitation, authenticity, moral ambiguity. That last one I think is the sticking point for a lot of people, and even you'll think about the scene in this movie where Bijou Phillips moves from the back seat to the front seat or whatever, however she moves, and the camera is just in her crotch the whole time, and she's like not wearing underwear.
I'd had to look up how old she was when that came on. I was like, all right. How bad of a
bad should I feel about it?
It's they're a little bit older in this movie. Everyone's a little bit older. Even our main guy, they had to wait till he was 18 before he could star in this. So everyone's of age except for one person we'll talk about. I guess I just want to throw this to the group. Feel free. I'm not going to throw it to a single person. If someone feels strongly about it, they'll talk first. Are these game? What are these deal breakers for you?
I mean
not really, but I'm not going to watch it with my mom.
Yeah. I wouldn't watch this with the old wife. This is not let's get some dinner ready and watch Bully.
For me, it's weird. I think that's the biggest thing of the difference of watching it when you're young. It's like, it didn't have, like, I didn't think much of it. It was like, it's like gritty sexual violence, but you're also like closer in age. I think like getting 20 years on and watching it, it's just like, it's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely, it stands out more. And it does feel maybe overly exploitive. Artistically, it feels, and we talked a lot about this when we did the Ken Park episode, which got a shout out that everybody should go check that one out. It's blown up on YouTube. But it feels like that's the layer Larry Clark has, right? Like that's his go-to. It kind of feels like he's a little one-trick pony in that. That this felt like Ken Park with true crime Ken Park. It's kind of like the same scenario setups. It just didn't feel like he was exploring anything new artistically. So I guess that's kind of where I could see how people would call this all those things, and like, yeah, and I can see how it would be a deal breaker for some because it's it feels that way, and maybe that's just like, I'm getting to be older and get off my lawn, old man, but I didn't have that feeling at all when I was younger. So maybe it is dependent on age.
Yeah, I do think one element of it, because obviously I'm on the same page where I watched this when I was younger, and I was these actors same age, if not younger, probably watching it than they were in the film. And then watching it now, you obviously you look back and you're like, man, they're kids versus me now. But I would say the other saving grace of it is with Larry Clark, there's a naturality of things. Now, this is a little bit different than Kids, which is very much just off the cuff. But with this one, it's kids being kids. So it's like all these sexual situations and stuff like that. They're not really being forced into it. It's not like forced acting. Bully has a little bit more than Kids, once again, of that scripted feel, but still, I think that's the one Larry Clark's saving grace, is there's that naturality. It's like it's almost like a documentary in form, where he's just watching kids being who they are. And if they're going to be, vagrants and disgusting and all over the place, then, that's where the cards lay. So that's sort of the one element of it, in my mind.
At the end of this podcast, I'll put forth a defense from one of Larry Clark's close collaborators, and I'll get into that then. But just want to kind of put a feel out there. How do you feel about that? I don't think this is any necessarily like a deal breaker for me. At the end of our Ken Park episode, I put a clip of Larry Clark talking about art and like the art world and like how he feels about people being disgusted by his work, and that really made me understand who Larry Clark is. Do I want Larry Clark around like my nieces and stuff? Not really, but I think his art is valid. He's working, mostly with of age people. All right, so written by David McKenna. Actually, in the movie, he's credited as Zachary Long because he was unhappy with the finished film. Funny enough, he was pretty outspoken about it and was like, because this movie happened when they made it, the studios got spooked because Columbine had just happened in '99, and so they're like, I don't know if we want to touch this movie about like teen murder right now. And David McKenna here was one of the people who was like, it's time we woke up to the way many of our kids are living. And if you hear people talk about this movie, that's the main takeaway, is like, this movie's a cautionary tale about parents needing to be in their kids' lives. Like, what's the connecting tissue in this movie? The parents aren't really around. Maybe you could make an argument for Lisa's mom, Barbara Streisand, but
I think it's interesting too, because in the real life case, this was definitely a point where the news media in Florida specifically was like, what are your kids up to? And there's I was reading one of the articles that I did for the research here, and they talked to Lisa's mom, and she's like, well, I thought I was doing all right, but obviously I wasn't. Most of these kids either came from some type of broken home or didn't know their dad, and I think 5 of the 7 main characters were dropouts. I think Bobby was the only one that finished high school, along with Heather eventually, but she was still in. But they were all pretty, degenerate, I guess, if you wanted to look for it. The true Degeneration X, not Shawn Michaels or Triple H or Pac, but it was them. So it was very much that in that eye, and we can get into, I did a lot of research. I've read the book. This was based off of a true crime book. I don't know if anybody else read that, but there's some pretty nasty underbelly in the real life situation, even more so than what you used to get in the movie.
Yeah, I imagine the book's 100 times more stories and incidents that take place that they go over. I've read so many true crime books. I know how it goes. I'm interested. I didn't even have a chance to watch a documentary or Forensic Files or anything. I'm kind of upset about that. So I'm leaving a lot of that up to you, Joey.
Put the team on my back.
Yeah. David McKenna. Roger Poulos is another co-writer on this. This is his only writing credit, as Joey wrote, and he's right. Joey was just bringing up the book, Bully, A True Story of High School Revenge, a nonfiction book by Houston Chronicle writer Jim Schutze. He's a producer credit on this film, so they had to give him something. I have not clicked this until now, but Joey posted a link, and he said wild website from the late 90s or early 2000s, and I want to check this out real quick. Oh yeah, so it's like the classic 90s. These are really nice. I think if I got a Squarespace, I would just make it look like this anyway.
What's the URL?
It's in the document. It's under the Bully. It's page something. Jeez, it doesn't even tell me.
Page number's not coming up. Page 5.
Page 5. Yeah, it's just a weird old website, so he's got a blog on here. It's pretty cute.
Is this hamster dancing?
close to it. We're maybe a year or two removed from that on this website. It seems like. I feel like because he put out books throughout the 80s and 90s, and I feel like probably he had already published a bunch of books. Like, hey, Jim, we need to get you one of those pages on the World Wide Web. He's like, pages? What do you mean? Like a book on the World Wide Web? Like, no, like a web page, Jim.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's actually like there's a story of bully section on here you can check out. So check this out, folks. Go to shootsyjim.com. There's a thing in here where a reviewer calls Bully a deeply conservative film. And you know what? I agree. I haven't thought about that till just now. I'm like, Larry Clark is like a conservative director.
Damn.
We were talking about Flesh for Frankenstein and like Blood for Dracula recently, which is made by a famously conservative guy who passed away recently. Can't recall his name immediately, but R.I.P. Just interesting to know. Yeah, these are like cautionary movies.
Damn, I thought I was being original when I said that to myself after watching this. I was like, Larry Clark, famed conservative director who hates teenagers.
Loves teenagers.
Dude, I mean, are you sure? I don't know, man. I'm like, damn, this guy really doesn't have a high opinion of teens. Like,
he only follows the worst scenarios, though. Yeah, he makes the worst. He makes like the church plays that are scary.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a political journalist at the Dallas Times Herald, Dallas Observer. So this guy worked in Texas and Houston Chronicle. He's a current columnist at D Magazine. He has a bunch of other works. These are really fun. Like My Husband's Trying to Kill Me, The Politics of Race in the American City, Preacher's Girl, The Life and Crimes of Blanche Taylor Moore. I don't know. The last one here is Pontiac, novel from 2024. In the inner sanctum of an elite 1960s boarding school, boys test their boundaries in class when they become welcome an outsider. I don't know. I like true crime sometimes. Maybe there's some good stuff. But shout out Jim Schutze. He has a producer credit on the thing. Joey, this is your time to sound off. Do you like that book? You recommend it?
Well, the book, it's been a while since I read it. I mean, I think it probably would have been 5, 6, 7 years ago that I picked it up when I went back to rewatch this movie randomly. And yeah, I definitely would. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. The movie does a great job of encapsulating the story. There's stuff that's left out. I don't know if we want to go over that at any point now or later, but it's very good. It's a little, like I say, it's very much the underbelly of the crime. Like, there's a lot of prostitution stuff leading up to all this that is not included. I mean, they actually do drop little sentences here and there, but it's almost like, oh, how did they know that? Or this is, whatever's going on in the movie. But I don't know of anything the movie really exaggerates or gets wrong. They condense it for time, so it definitely feels like a much shorter time period that all these kids are doing this, like in a week, like they just meet or something, but it's over the course of months. It's definitely worth watching. The Forensic Files episode's pretty good. Cousin Derek is interviewed on there broadly. So I don't know. I enjoyed doing the research for this because this has been a movie. It's been around, and Larry Clark's work probably deformed my ideas of sexuality as a teenager at times. A passion play of you're gonna die or get AIDS or someone's gonna kill you or get pregnant was definitely in my mind from his work. So yes, read the book.
Okay, I'll check it out. I will. I promise you this. Right after I get to Kurt Vonnegut's books. Sorry, Adam. Cinematography by Steve Gaynor, known for Teenage Caveman, What's Up Rockers, also Mysterious Skin, Super. Everyone loves Super from 2010. Also a Haunted House from 2013.
Nice. I was just looking at that.
This is when
what the fuck?
This is when it goes off the rails. Yeah, he also did Movie 43, which we talk about quite frequently on the podcast. I saw it on 35 millimeter. And we will talk. I'm thinking about we're going to actually talk about Movie 43 on this podcast at some point. Also Mayhem. That stuck out to me because I was like, oh, of course Joey would point out Mayhem. It has Stephen Yeun.
That's right.
I want to check it out. I've seen the poster many times, but
Mayhem's fun.
To quote Joey, a bunch of other dumb shit but some of it looks sleazy. And he even did a Master P film, MP, The Last Dawn, the movie.
You got to make sure you put in that "the last Dawn."
It was hard. I just kept put "duh" everywhere. I put the poster for the Master P movie. But he's a member and museum curator. Dude, shout out Master P. He doesn't get respect from the kids these days.
That's definitely a podcast I think you should do sometime. The old rap movies of that day, like 3 6 Mafia made Choices into a movie, their album, which is fucking terrible, but also extremely great at the same time. I forced people to watch that in college, and only me and one other dude liked it. I'll leave it at that.
That's a good idea, man. But he's respected. He's a museum curator of the American Society of Cinematographers, member of the Directors Guild of America, Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. He just voted to not give Eddington a fucking award. Do you believe that?
Boo.
Fuck this guy.
Boo.
He was told Larry doesn't want to use any makeup. He wants to shoot it in Florida where it really happened. He wants the kids to be sweaty and greasy, and he wants it to be handheld. So we're going to hear a lot from Steve Gaynor in this document. Edited by Andrew Haffitz. He was a Yale graduate in 1984. I worked on The Last Days of Disco, which stands out to me because I want to watch that one. I've been recommended it so many times. Ken Park. So we've already encountered Andrew Haffitz on Ken Park doing editing. And something called Damsels in Distress, which is a drom-com with Greta Gerwig and Adam Brody. I don't know. Also, Charlie Says from 2018, which looks like a really bad Charles Manson biopic. Speaking of, not Euphoria, speaking of Skins, UK Skins, where all the actors came from, I think that one stars one who did not take off. UK Skins, shout out.
I love UK Skins.
It is good, man, and people need to check it out. Like all the actors, you'll see all the actors you know now and love. They're just going to be way younger.
Yeah, it was that Nicholas Holt. That's where he got his start.
Mm-hmm. We named this off the other week. We're like Nicholas Holt, Daniel Kaluuya, the Indian guy. I always forget his name. He's not Indian. He's like British. But
Kash Patel.
He touts his... Yeah, Kash Patel. But yeah, everyone came from... The new guy who's in all the Bone Temple movies, Jack O'Connell. Like, all these fucking people are from Skins. Shout out, respect. Music composed by Joe Poldoris and Jerome Dillon. Maybe Tyler knows more about this than I do, but he's a drummer and occasional guitarist for 9 Inch Nails from 99 to 2005. You into them?
I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan, but yeah, I didn't know anything about their members. So that's interesting.
It's like the one thing I don't connect with David Lynch on is I'm just like, 9 Inch Nails is fine. I've never been like drawn to their music, so I don't have much to say, but he was involved. He also did composition and soundtracking for some other movies, like Cecil B. Demented, which is the John Waters film. Shout out. We still haven't talked about John Waters. The Collector from 2009, which is that horror movie with the guy, you see the back of his head with like a mask on.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. It's always recommended. It's always on every streaming platform. I don't know. I should check it out.
It's good. I mean, it's not amazing, but
Okay.
yeah, I saw it back in the day. I liked it a lot.
I think there's a sequel, isn't there? Like The Collector 2.
Yeah, The Collector is
back to
like...
collect.
So I remember someone at work, Rebecca made that movie, and I was like, God damn, you like the fucked up shit. Okay, I guess we're friends, but I need to kind of give you a background check. That was one of the last actual horror movies to creep me out, for sure, like as much as it did. But it's worth a watch, I think.
Okay, cool. I definitely will. For some reason, Joey highlighted For the Love of Money from 2012. I don't know anything about it, but I put the poster in here because it looks so fucking ridiculous. I looked into it, and it's like based on like an Israeli guy's life. It's like the producer's life. He's like, this is what I really did. And it just sounds so ridiculous.
Is that
Looks
Edward
like a Red Box
Furlong?
movie.
It might be. That looks like him, doesn't it? I know it has James Caan and that guy, that character actor that's in so much shit, but I never know his name. He's probably in The Sopranos or something.
I think it's
Anyway,
Paul
I don't know.
Sorvino.
Oh, yeah.
He's like in Goodfellas.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Paul Sorvino, baby.
Yeah, this looks like a Red Box movie.
2012. That's
Good call.
Red
Yeah, it
Box
totally is
That's-
Red Box.
yep.
It's like marquee on the Red Box.
The blue and orange like color scheme on that poster is so of its time. So Howard Parr, the soundtrack supervisor, said there was no real music budget for this. It was like $5,000. Larry really wanted to use Forgot About Dre by Dr. Dre and Eminem. And that was $1 million song. My friend managed to get the video rights to it, but not the music rights. Fortunately, Eminem was a big Larry fan. Everyone's a big Larry fan, apparently. And we managed to meet him at the MTV Movie Awards. We got Eminem to sign off on it, but then we had to find Dre, and that took 6 months. He approved it. Later, we had to actually go back and ask him to do it for half of the money, but he still did it. So shout out Dre and Eminem, I guess.
Yeah, I find it's kind of interesting. I guess this movie is it's supposed to be set around like when it's made in 2000, because like the actual events happened in 93. I was kind of thinking about that because you got right when that showed up, I was like, wait a second, that song came out in like 2000.
Yeah, it's contemporary. Something about avoiding anachronisms. I don't know. They just were like, we're doing it now because it's easier to not make a period piece because we have no money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because one of the characters has a cell phone too.
Yeah, it's definitely in that era because we've been doing nothing but talking about like pre 9/11 films recently, like literally right before 9/11 movies, including this one. It's a very specific time period. Produced by Don Murphy. I'm just gonna fly through here on a couple of these, but like Natural Born Killers, he helped produce, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, all the Transformers movies, Real Steel. Never seen Real Steel. And he's actually behind the New Faces of Death 2026 remake legacy sequel, which he brought up on the podcast recently. Very excited for that, starring Charlie XCX. Chris Hanley, he founded Muse Productions. We got a lot to get into with Muse Productions. And then Fernando Solichin also helped out on The Addiction, which I believe is like Abel Ferrara vampire movie. Am I right, Spaghetti?
Yeah, to a lesser degree. But yeah, vampirism in quotes.
Okay, it's like artsy. I remember it's like black and white.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, Malcolm X, 1992. Tiptoes, which eventually we'll get to something like Tiptoes. We got to talk about it.
It's so
Is
amazing.
it the one?
The movie exists.
Is it the one with like McConaughey and it's like his? Oh, all right, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
the little people.
Yeah. No, when you do that one, you should have my friend on. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be coming. We'll talk about because there's Freeway we gotta talk about too. But yeah, that director's fucking crazy. I think he's making a new movie.
It's just funny because I've sent that trailer to so many people and they were like, "Is this real or is this like a Saturday Night Live joke or something?" You know? It's just like, no, it's fucking real.
Of its time, 2002. Also did Snowden in 2016. Fernando Solichin helped produce. Interestingly, also Melania from this year. That like crazy ass documentary.
I mean, I heard that documentary's breaking records all around the country.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a million dollars.
Again, this is a conservative film. Production companies, Blacklist Films. You've probably never heard of Blacklist Films because it was a short-lived project-specific or financier-specific production vehicle. They produced some films for 2001 and 2002, usually just created for tax, liability, or rights purposes. Something called Love, Liza, which has Philip Seymour Hoffman, I believe. We should check it out because it's connected to all of these movies. Also Tiptoes. Something called Gravity Entertainment was formed in 1997. And they were really big and boisterous. Like, we're going to model this on a traditional Hollywood studio system structure. We're going to produce films, and that's how we're going to make our money. They never went anywhere outside of this movie. And they actually are only known for having legal issues about an agent selling unlicensed securities in 2008. Shout out. I just learned what unlicensed securities are. So, like, when you make deals, you literally have to, like, run it by, like, a bunch of basically government agencies or just agencies, and if you don't do it, it's considered unlicensed and like illegal and shady. But anyway, check it out. Gravity Entertainment, they're not around anymore. And then Muse Productions. Muse is big because it was founded by Chris Hanley and his wife Roberta in 1991. Respect, shout out to these guys. They helped produce and get up and running Freeway from 1996. Big one. Joey loves Freeway. I love Freeway. Spaghetti loves Freeway. I don't know anyone else, but we'll talk about Freeway someday. Buffalo 66, which is a Vincent Gallo and Christina Ricci movie. Highly controversial. We definitely have to talk about that one at some point. Virgin Suicides I've never seen. It was a Framed. If you ever use the Framed app online where you go and you like have to choose a frame, you have to play a game where you just see a frame at a time and you have to guess what the movie is. And I never seen this, so I failed this one. American Psycho, Tiptoes, Killer Inside Me, Spring Breakers. Obviously, we love Spring Breakers. I did want to mention Spring Breakers 2 is also being produced by Muse Productions. This one is going to be directed by the guy who did Freeway and, was it Matthew Bright? So Matthew Bright's behind Spring Breakers 2. Salvation Mountain, that's going to be coming out. It's going to star Bella Thorne, Ariel Martin, Grace Van Dien, and True Whitaker. True Whitaker is Forrest Whitaker's daughter. She was just in I Love L.A. I'm interested. I'm down, dude. I'm down for Spring Breakers 2. I'm all in. And lastly, Studio Canal. We all know Studio Canal, international financier, and distribution backbone. Financier. They did Mulholland Drive, Irreversible, Inland Empire, Hot Fuzz, Burn After Reading, and a whole bunch of other Coen Brothers movies. This was distributed by Lionsgate Films, and I kind of mentioned Summit Entertainment here because they're a subsidiary of Lionsgate, but they did everything. I don't know if anyone wants to mention anything on that list, but it's like they did everything. I wanted to mention the My Bloody Valentine 2009 remake. Shout out. Valentine's Day.
Red State, greatly underrated film.
That's a good one.
Yep. And of course, they did Now You See Me, and its sequels Now You Three Me. So that's.
Did you know those are like Israeli productions? Like it's a highly Israeli background on those.
Well, yeah, I do remember the scene where Jesse Eisenberg, he like does a magic trick that, he shoots a child and he's like,
oh no,
they're gone.
now they're gone. They're not coming back.
Just for this shit, I'm going to see Scream 7 2 more times now. You know what?
Oh no. Oh no. And then Gods of Egypt. I don't know if we'll ever watch Gods of Egypt, but shout out Alex Proyas. Flight Risk, where the twist is that Mark Wahlberg is bald. The Long Walk and The Housemaid. Maybe we're going to be watching one of those two movies next week. I don't know. This was likely shot on Kodak film stock with an area-appropriate Ariflex or Movie-Cam camera. They just look like cameras. They're area-appropriate. Couldn't find specific details. I posted some pictures of what it maybe look like. It was mastered via photochemical intermediate. I did some research into this week, just really quick. This day and age, when you picture, it was mastered on or edited on a digital intermediate, you picture someone in like, Premiere Pro or whatever the fuck, editing video files on a computer. Back in the day, they didn't have that. So even on this movie, like, it's such a painstaking process to like, you have several negatives you're working with, and you're progressing through it. You're having someone literally cut things, and if they fuck up the whole film, the only thing they have for certain scenes. And like, I don't know, man, it's like really, it just smells like vinegar, and it's really gross, and you're having to like apply light and like different filters to things. You only have one shot to do it a lot of times, and like the invention of like the modern day stuff would have been like better than sliced bread. So shout out, man. People who made this shit, we're going to talk about this shit for a long time today. People who made this shit, man, oh my God. It was so much work went into this. It's crazy. But anyway, struck to 35 millimeter film prints for theatrical distribution. Essentially, it was very fast tungsten film stock exposed a bit for slower and better grain. They used filter to control the Florida sun. Intentionally didn't color correct, so the film would look harsh, sweaty, and off-kilter, which I think they achieved. Shooting dates, blah, blah, blah. 2000, August 21, 2000 in Southern Florida. Many of the locations they filmed were actually where the real life incidents occurred, which I think is super cool. They originally had 40 days to shoot, and they lost 10 of the days already because of budget constraints. They're like, I don't even know. It just said, upon his arrival to the set, Lionsgate informed Clark that due to budget constrictions, he now had 23 days instead of the initial 40. The compressed production schedule, tempestuous weather conditions, and behind-the-scenes drama all contributed to a chaotic set experience for the cast and crew. Clark is known for have said, I never saw dailies because we had no time for it. I never saw anything until we were in the editing room. There's an interview with Brad Renfro, and he's like asking you, like, have you guys seen the dailies? Because he's trying to confirm his performance. and no one has seen the dailies. They didn't have time for it.
It's pretty insane.
You guys all know what dailies are, right?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty impressive because honestly, all the performances are really good. It doesn't really give the feel that they were on that much of a time crunch.
3 weeks is crazy. Yeah.
I mean, like you don't even know if it looks right at all. It's like you just got, I don't know, I would say super lucky. Obviously, the way they filmed it lent itself to not having to have everything perfect, but still, like that must have been very frightening.
And then filming locations was shot at many of the locations where real life incidents occurred, blah, blah, blah. So many of the areas that we shot in, this is Steve Gaynor, the DP, so many of the areas we shot in were actual locations. We had the actual courtroom, the actual cop that was there, the apartment complex, and super bizarrely, the guy that was the head of the film lab down there where we ran our processing was Marty Puccio's father. It's details like that where I'm like, is that even real? Is that true? Like, what?
That is wild. It's wild. And that immediately brings the scene where the family's eating dinner. It's like, can we move? He's like, and his father's like, hey, just because you have like a bad day doesn't mean we can pick up and move. And it's like the implication that they were there because of his job, the father's job.
See, what's funny about that scene too is like, of all the research I did, that seems to be the only like really out of order thing that happened in real life versus then, because he asks that, or it's referenced when he's like a few years before this, and he goes to live with an aunt, or a year or so before this, and he goes to live with an aunt in New York for like a few months, and then comes back, and then that's when he meets Lisa and all these people. So that's like a side note there. It's just that scene in general.
Yeah. I'm becoming hyper aware that Tyler's gonna have to leave soon, probably. Tyler, I want to take a photo all together really quickly. So everyone get into pose position, and I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, and then it's going to give us a 5-second delay. 3, 2, 1. Good enough. I just wanted one. I wanted one before everyone heads out. And then Tyler, I want to give you the opportunity to say anything you want about Bully before you actually leave. I'm assuming you're leaving soon. So.
Oh, I got a little bit of time.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm on less of a time crunch now.
All right, think about it, and if you need to, just jump in, pop in. I'm going to continue, and we're going to roll through this. We posted some of the filming locations here. I'm actually curious, Joey. Is the Los Angeles City Hall location, is that like because they were arraigned there or something? But that didn't make sense to me either.
No,
so
I don't really know that comes from. That was just on IMDb, so I just figured I'd throw it in there. It's a good question. I'm not sure where that would have even been in the movie. But, if you go back down and you see the Florida cities where they're Lauderhill, Cooper City, Fort Lauderdale, Pembroke Pines, which you hear often in this movie, Hollywood, and Miramar. Miramar, also, famous for Top Gun, right? That's where we're going to Miramar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But if you see that second map there, you can see it's all in a very small area. I mean, you have, I didn't let I think most 10 miles, I think, from Fort Lauderdale to Miramar is what it was. But pretty neat. I tried to find a filming locations thing, but no one did it. So, hey, maybe road trip, road trip.
Yeah, we got to take a road trip. I'll go as long as we can go to Disney.
Yeah, it's a little further away.
Universal, but yeah.
It's a little far, but we'll go somewhere.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you putting the locations in here. That really helps me understand, this happened on the coast of Florida and the deep south of it. We're going to be playing GTA 6 pretty soon. Florida is known for gated communities, strip mall, ennui. Ennui? I don't know how to say that.
Ennui.
Humidity as moral decay. The swamp is metaphor. The illusion of safety. I don't know. Does this movie feel Floridian to you guys? Does this strike you as Florida when you watch this?
I think I missed out any setup where it was at. And I was like, man, I forget where this takes place, but this definitely feels like Florida.
Yeah. Broward County. Yeah. Definitely.
I've been out to Orlando a couple times because my dad lives there. And I mean, I think, if they didn't shoot this in location, I think it would take away a lot from this film because it definitely gives a feel all the overgrown foliage, all the actors being just naturally sweaty. That's just real Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweaty
humidity,
just like me right now.
Welcome to humidity. It fucking sucks.
Yeah, at least they don't have that in Arizona.
Yeah.
It's like 120 degrees and dry like an oven.
It's a dry heat, as everyone says.
Aspect ratio 185:1. I said boring. Do better, Larry Clark and Steve Gaynor. I think it's really boring. I think it's boring to not have any black bars on the screen. I need black bars to come. I'm gonna come.
Yeah. To quote Kamala Harris, "Don't come.
Don't come. Don't come." Runtime 108 minutes. This was I guess an hour 48 minutes for the theatrical cut, but I watched the unrated cut, which was 1 hour and 53 minutes. I don't know what was different. I assume more pervert shots, more perverted stuff. But not much longer. Not much to say on that one. A release date. I did want to know because Joey's has the crazy thing where I go crazy looking at release dates too. IMDb had Canada as January 1st, 2001, which is wrong. This movie premiered in the United States on July 13th, 2001 to a very, very limited, spread. Did have a premiere June 15th, the month earlier at Method Fest. Not much to say about that. But this hit like 6 to 20 theaters. I think it was 6 opening. There's some variation in the stories. But it also went to Venice, and it was nominated for a Golden Lion Award. Didn't win, but nominated. And Bully was originally slated for a wide theatrical release. There's issues with the, I think Steve Gaynor here says, about 3 weeks before the release, the entire executive branch at Lionsgate got shaken up, and a whole new bunch of people took over. They put it in 3 theaters, so it didn't have a fucking chance. It played for like a weekend, and then it was gone. No push, no big advertising campaign, nothing. They let it die. Also, they wanted to get an R rating for it. Apparently, they got an NC-17 from the MPAA, and instead Clark was like, fuck you guys, I'm releasing it unrated. So maybe that's part of the reason why.
Doesn't that automatically eliminate you from pretty much every chain if you're unrated?
A lot, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I think I can't even think. I think I saw maybe, I don't know, was Possessor like NC-17 in theaters or something, or like Infinity Pool? I don't know. I don't even know. It's a weird rating. Here's our big thing we always do. Oh, go ahead, sir.
The only like NC-17 movie I remember like as a kid growing up was like 9.5 weeks, right? Mickey Rourke.
Sure.
That was like the big
Showgirls.
one. And Showgirls. There you go.
Yeah, that was the big one. Yeah.
So I can't think of anything very recent that it's like that it wasn't almost. These days, it would be a marketing ploy almost to NC-17. But again, I don't think a lot of theaters will even carry that. So.
Yeah, I just can't think of a time I saw an NC-17. I've seen unrated, I believe, but I don't know about NC.
And then I think Dreamers that you guys did on the podcast, that was an NC-17. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bertolucci. Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Dreamers today. Thing we always do is we just talk about the opening weekend, July 13, 2001. What was in theaters? Well, that weekend, what was opening was Legally Blonde. You had The Score, which is a Frank Oz heist film starring De Niro and Ed Norton. I wanted to note Frank Oz directed The Indian in the Cupboard, so we'll talk about Frank Oz at some point. Something called Made, which is Jon Favreau directorial debut, crime comedy with Vincent Vaughn, classic Vince Vaughn cinema, baby.
That's like the sequel to Swingers, sort of.
Is it? I haven't seen.
It's a spiritual sequel
to check it out.
to Swingers, so it's not a direct sequel, but it's the same energy.
I'm curious. We love Vince Vaughn here. Better than Swingers?
Yeah, I'll go on record with that. Yeah, better than Swingers.
Okay.
It also co-stars Diddy. Diddy do it?
Oh, God, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. You guys ever heard of Carmina 2?
No.
It made more money than Bully. It's a Canadian horror comedy. It's about vampires that have to take a special potion made by someone called Ghislaine Showbot to be human. They get into some kind of dramatic thing, and I guess the wife throws them out without the potion. I don't know, dude. Canadians
about that in the
weird.
Epstein files.
I think this was in the Epstein files. Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, Ghislaine's right there. And then you had Bully here, which was like number 64 on the month of like take in. They only made 47,000 in the opening. For comparison, Legally Blonde made 20 million, opening to like almost 2,600 theaters. and something called Downtown, which is a 1981 documentary about Jean-Michel Basquiat. Don't want to say that name. Graffiti innovator and noise music artist. It's like us. And then notable competition, real quick. We had Jurassic Park, made $50 million, opened at 3,500 theaters. Jurassic Park 3, everyone hates. I watched it recently. It's not good. Also, Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton movie. Cats and Dogs, Scary Movie 2. America's Sweethearts. Fast and the Furious. AI, Artificial Intelligence. Dr. Dolittle 2.
Yeah.
So the point is,
beginning
you
of
had a lot
the
to
fall
choose
of
from this
culture.
month.
That's what it was. And then September 11th came and just a wrecking ball the rest of the shit. We're done for.
Yeah.
And
it's just crazy looking back at this shit, you know?
I did like Planet of the Apes, though. I didn't think it was that bad.
No. People hate on that shit too much. I saw that when I was a kid and loved it.
I just liked, I don't know how many more big movies were like so much people in suits, practical effects type shit after that. We started really getting into CGI soon after full on production. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, I agree. There's a freaking like Kubrick written movie. Like that was supposed to be Kubrick's one of the last projects was AI, artificial intelligence. Budget for Bully was 21 million, damn. 2,100,000, 2.1 million. Again, only made in the opening 47,000. If we believe, I think it was the numbers that Joey quoted, which I go by the numbers because apparently they have better international reporting. So I believe this movie made 1.3 million. Didn't make back its budget and didn't make back the non-existent marketing. So, it was a failure. But these movies that we talk about here most of the time ain't made for making money, and if they do, that's the interesting part. The cast. Carmen Cuba was a casting director. There's a lot of stories about her. She apparently helped cast Euphoria, the most recent HBO show, something called Generation, something called We Are Who We Are. I don't know. But she said there was definitely less oversight. There was no internet, so I had to go to skate parks and backyards to watch backyard wrestling and meet someone who could connect me to one person who could connect me to another person. These were skater kids, and it was a different time. Nowadays, everybody's used to Instagram and performing for their social media. Back then, there wasn't the same kind of awareness about performance. These guys were not looking to be famous. Joey, go ahead and read me some stuff about Brad Renfro.
Okay, so Brad Renfro played our main guy, Marty, Bobby's best friend. But before that, considered for Marty was Jake Gyllenhaal and Ashton Kutcher. Pretty glad they didn't get it. I think Brad does a really good job here as Marty. He was considered the most famous of the cast at the time. Larry Clark says, I went down to pick up Brad from Knoxville, Tennessee, where the actor had been living in a trailer park with his grandmother. It was a day after his 18th birthday, and because he had to be 18 to shoot the film, I drove up to his front door and he came out with blood dripping down both of his arms. He'd been shooting cocaine. He was all loaded up. He looked terrible. So I stayed with him for about 3 days. The next morning I said, where's a place to get some coffee, like a Starbucks or something? And he got in the car and I just drove to Florida. I kidnapped him and drove us to the shoot. He was kicking his habit in my car and then he'd fall asleep. He'd wake up and kick, then fall asleep. I eventually got him down to Florida and made him work out so he lost weight. It was tough. It was really, really tough. Steve Gaynor, director of the DP.
Photography.
Brain fart. Yeah. Cut that. Steve Gaynor, direction of photography. There was one moment when Brad tried to escape to go to a party again, and his parole officer caught him. They came into rehearsal and Larry wringed Renfro's neck, lifted him up and shook him and said, "You're not going to fuck my movie." He had his feet off the ground.
You're not going to fuck my movie.
And then I guess this is a quote from Brad. I tend to disagree with Larry on some things. Like, I don't want to see two people making love. I don't want to see that. To me, it's something that can be told as a much more tasteful way. He got arrested during making the film for trying to steal a yacht. I think the more interesting thing is, like, I didn't even realize part of this till later, is like he had a pretty good career from like the mid-90s through this time. He was in The Client, Susan Sarandon, Tommy Lee Jones, crime thriller. I don't know if you haven't seen it, but I mean, it was a huge movie back in the day, and it was and I think it's still very good. I watched it, I don't know, not too long ago, a couple years. Tom and Huck with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who was, I guess, the biggest teen star that year, probably, in 95. He was in a movie called Sleepers in 96. The Cure with Joseph Mazzello, who is the redheaded kid from Jurassic Park. It was one of those movies. Joseph's character had AIDS, and they became friends and had a summer together. So this is that time where you had stuff like that. I guess the Stephen White story, I think, was a little bit before that.
It's like Buddies from Vinegar Syndrome.
Whatever. I don't watch Vinegar Syndrome shit anymore, man. I'm cooler than that. God. Then the apt pupil, which, if you're not aware of, he thinks his neighbor is like a Nazi hiding out. Interesting stuff. Stephen King story. But those are the most well known. At 18, he filmed this movie, and he died at 25 in 2008 from a drug overdose due to acute heroin and morphine intoxication. But yeah, that's him. A lot of the other cast members really were fond of him. There's some other great stories we'll hear about, I'm sure, as we go.
Yeah, so, rest in peace, Brad Renfro. Reason I posted a picture of Tom and Huck is because I had that on VHS, and that's how I know Brad Renfro. I was like, oh, he was in that. So I totally know who he is. I also watched an interview with him, and he's actually a lot more eloquent than you'd think. Like, he was saying stuff about, like, he was offended by the it's so funny, this is a conservative picture, but he's like, I don't like the nudity. I'm like, why are you in a Larry Clark movie? I guess because he kidnapped him. MJ, would you mind reading some stuff about Bijou Phillips for me?
Bijou Phillips, what an interesting character she is in her life. She's the daughter of musicians John Phillips, Guinevere. Was it the Mamas and the Papas, right? So growing up, she was a local tabloid fixture. She was essentially Paris Hilton before Paris Hilton. She hung out with those two. She had a debut singing I'd Rather Eat Glass in 1999. Phillips was on the cover of Interview magazine when she was 13. Shortly thereafter, she appeared on the Italian Vogue. And she was also a image model for Calvin Klein. She was in several advertising campaigns where adolescents showed white underwear. I think that was at the same camp with Marky Mark and Kate Moss. That was the gig that Larry Clark wish he would have got. Yeah. She's also expressed her distaste for the modeling world. And also she was in Gummo, no? Like, that's kind of where I first remember her from, like, alongside, or am I totally...
No, she's not in Gummo, no. I wish she was. She fits Gummo.
Yeah.
But I'd Rather Eat Glass.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'd rather eat glass.
That's her opinion of the modeling industry. She's like, I'd rather eat glass than go back to it.
Love it. That's amazing. I find this fact that you got here that you dug really interesting. That Zooey Deschanel was really the person that was going to be playing Allie in the movie, but she was filming something else called Big Trouble at the time. So that was out. I guess that would have been a much different movie with Zooey Deschanel in the film, I believe. I
saw that and I thought, like, what would have happened to her?
That would have made no sense
if she had done it.
Yeah, completely different, huh?
Yeah. And Bijou Phillips is actually the trigger that got the funding for the movie, and because Larry Clark was having a hard time getting money to back the filming, and when she signed on as the leading female, the financiers agreed. But Clark had basically no respect for her. This is an interesting quote. Of all people, we got to go ahead with Bijou, Clark said, recalling his incredulity. She was like the Paris Hilton before Paris Hilton. She was a club kid who was 15 years old out there at all the clubs. 15 years old, fucking everybody. Producers that I know, all men and shit were fucking her. Everybody was fucking her, and I just found it disgusting, man. And the time I met her, she came to me in this club and sat down next to me. put her arm around me, took my cigarette out of my mouth and started smoking it. And she started talking to me, hugging me, kind of filling me up. She hadn't acted, but that name, because she was in the paper every day for being a club kid and doing nothing, that name got us the money to get financed. Really interesting how art imitates life. Yeah. And I mean, she just a little bit more, she had a real, tortured life. Like, she I think she was raped by her father or her sister was.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't want to dive
stuff.
too much into that, but it was like, she is like
tortured.
Her father apparently.
Yeah, was a bully in the most extremely disgusting way. So a lot of a trauma involved with that. And but I think you think about her performance in the film. I think she had one of the strongest ones. She really played it off well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Clary Clark was interviewed, and he's like an asshole. He's like, the only thing he had to say about Bijou is like, she's perfect for the role. Mm-hmm. Yep, she's perfect. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's almost like Larry Clark needs these people to come be in his movie, even if he hates their guts. Because I think that is what works the best in Larry Clark movies, is that, possibly the film is shot on shaky ground a little bit with the personalities involved, because, a good correlation with Bijou Phillips and then also Brad Renfro is they, they're not directly their characters on the screen, but there's a lot of correlation there because, obviously Renfro, as we were talking about before, was, a hot mess when it comes to like drugs and addiction, and his character in this wasn't really a direct drug addict. He still was partaking quite a bit, but you could sort of throw it up in the air if he was just like a stoner kid versus whatever. But there was that turmoil that was there that you could tell directly came from Brad, and same with Bijou Phillips. I mean, there's a authenticity to both their roles. So, yeah, I think
one
Larry
of the core
needs
tenets
that.
of Larry Clark. Yeah, and Daniel Franchise, who I was trying to figure out where, like, I know this guy, where do I know him from? And he was Damien in Mean Girls. That Phillips had ridiculed him about his sexuality and basically physically assaulted him on the set. The actress Heather Mazzaro claimed that Phillips had held her up against a wall and choked her shortly before filming Hostel 2, which is another wild movie. I think that was another big movie she was in. She's also in Almost Famous, Octane 2003, which I'm not really familiar with. She was a voice in GTA San Andreas, and another movie, Choke, which I believe that's a Fight Club writer, Chuck Palahniuk.
Sam Rockwell. Yeah.
Sam Rockwell, yeah.
That was a great
book. That was a great book too. I like that book, but the movie maybe not so much. But
I think I saw it. I don't. I remember being really sexual, if I remember correctly.
yeah, and I don't know. I thought like the book was a little bit like, just as a lot of these cases, the book was better than the movie.
Maybe we'll talk about it in 18 years.
Yeah, Choke was great. I mean, like, I read all of Palahniuk's book back at that time, and that one really stuck out. And when I heard it was going to be a movie, I was very excited. And I never saw it because, like, watching the trailers and stuff, it's like, this isn't going to be as
smart. Like, didn't want to ruin it for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like, the book opens up like him at a sex addiction meeting, I think, and he fucks somebody in the bathroom or something like that. I don't know, but it's I don't know. All his shit was really good at that era. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, it was great.
The Honorable Mr. Jason was here, he'd have a lot to say. He has the biggest bookshelf I've ever seen of just Chuck Palahniuk books. So, shout out. Tyler, would you mind reading some about Rachel Miner for me?
Sure, yeah. Let me scroll back up. Rachel Miner is Lisa Connolly, Marty's girlfriend. For the role of Rachel, we wanted an innocent quality at the time. Rachel Miner was married to Macaulay Culkin, but they separated before the shooting. She says, I was nervous as heck right before I did Bully. I had been teaching 2-year-olds. I literally had midnight fears of like, what if a parent sees this?
Oh, damn.
She goes on to say that she didn't want her character to be attractive. The real Lisa had been heavier, and she gained weight for the role because it kind of informs her need for power and attention. She had been dehumanized and made less because of her weight and her looks. Also wanted there to be a transition and a growth. You'll see after Murder that she actually disturbingly starts wearing more form-fitting clothes as she develops a sense of power. For this, she won Best Actress at the 2001 Stockholm Film Festival. And that's about it for Rachel Miner.
Yeah, she's a big presence, though. She's the only one who won an award, and when people talk about Bully, she's one of the standout performances people talk about. And yeah, I mean, she's shockingly like natural and authentic, and being very crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know,
crazy.
like that teenage crazy. Yeah,
Yeah. As I was reading about Rachel and not Rachel, but Lisa in real life, she nailed the part. If you read some of these old interviews with Rachel, and like they just do a great job of bringing to life these characters. Or real people, not characters, you know.
yeah.
There is another tie to Harmony Korine here that when she was married to Macaulay Culkin, he directed the two of them in a music video for Sonic Youth called.
Oh, we always talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like there's the overlap there. Yeah, the one where it's just like them making out for 4 minutes, whatever.
I didn't know she was in that. I need to go back. I just watched that too. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's her.
Wow. Thank you, Tyler. And who hasn't read yet? We got Spaghetti. Spaghetti, go ahead and read me about Nick Stahl.
Let's see. Nick Stahl is Bobby Kent. Clark sought Nick Stahl for the role of Bobby, though Stahl initially thought he was not right for the role, saying, from the very beginning, I felt like I was miscast in the role. Not to say Brad was a bully or anything, but I thought the roles were kind of flip-flopped. If you drew the polar opposite of who I was at that time, it would probably be Bobby Kent. I mean, I was rail thin. I worked out twice before the movie started, so clearly I wasn't any kind of physicality that intrigued Larry. Though Lionsgate Films thought the roles of Bobby and Marty were miscast, Clark embraced the casting of Renfro and Stahl in their respective roles because he wanted to subvert audience expectations of what a bully looks like. Casting director Carmen Cuba said, the idea of who is a bully and who gets bullied, in this case, it felt unusual to make the choice this way, but that it made it more interesting and more layered.
Yeah, that is an interesting element, right? Like, that is something you think about in the movie because you're just like, why doesn't he just kick his ass?
Yeah.
He kind of does at one point, but yeah.
Yeah, he's more of a manipulative kind of bully.
I mean, that's probably a good point to bring in the fact that the real Bobby Kent was Iranian. His parents had changed their name. I just posted a picture of him in there, but he was jacked up. You know, they were lifting weights and doing steroids.
Big boy. It's a big neck.
Yeah, and yeah, so I see why if they looked at it that way, why they go why. But I think Nick Stahl did great, regardless.
Yeah. It immediately reminded me also of, I bet you he got the part in Sin City because he did this in Bully. Because Sin City, he's the yellow bastard.
Yep.
Which is essentially that same kind of sexual, deviant, malicious kind of role. So that's what I was reminded of again.
I think
he was also John Connor in Terminator 3. Sorry.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Like, that's really what, 2 years after this, damn, that's really what stuck out to me was, I was like, oh yeah, now that I knew he looked familiar.
Yeah. That's the only place I know him from, yep. I was like, I've seen this guy before. Must have been that terrible Terminator movie. And then, Adam, go ahead and read me about Michael Pitt, my second favorite actor in the movie.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you saved this one for me. Michael Pitt is Donnie Simonek. He plays, this is Allie's boyfriend. And I love this, anyone who listened to the Dreamers episode knows how much I love that movie. Dan, how quickly can you hit that fascism in a bottle sound drop? You just,
oh, God.
You just throw it in wherever I'm talking.
Oh la la.
It's never gonna happen. I promise one at the end of this episode at some point.
Let's see. Who is this? Leo Fitzpatrick said, I don't understand this notes. Where I'm from, I can't believe where I'm from in New Jersey is where Michael Pitt, who played Donnie Simonek, is from. So I've known Mike since he was a little kid. We're both from this town in West Orange, and I was always a grade or two above him. Mike was always good looking, always Mr. Cool, and I actually didn't like him. And then when we made this film, we became friends. Andy Haffitz, the editor, he has to say, Jim Schutz, the author of the book who later disowned the film, hated those kids. He hated them. And in particular, Donnie, Michael's character. And Michael just figured out a way to play this kid as relatable and with a sense of humor. This fuck up who just wanted to get high all the time. He was always doing something interesting in every single take. I could always cut to him. And I don't know, yeah, like I really like his character shows up, and you know, if anyone can be said to be like the comedy relief of this movie, it's him, just because he's like, you know, like like that's like the whole scene with him and who's that, Derek, when they're playing Combat.
Fatalized. Yeah. Oh my God. Best scene in the movie.
So relatable. Like I remember back in the day, like when I was a little kid playing Mortal Kombat, you know, at the arcade and whipping ass too. I was always, I played so much at home that I'd go in there and go up against these teenagers who were like so much older than me. And I'd always just be like, you know, hitting the moves, getting a fatality, getting a babality, which is what the,
God, he turned that guy into a baby, man.
That scene was so fucking cool, man. What the hell?
Is Combat? I didn't. You know, I should have looked that up. I'm assuming it's a real game. They didn't like.
It's based. The Mortal Kombat was the game that they played. Mortal Kombat was the actual.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
but you can't say that.
So okay.
Oh,
so
really? That was why. Okay.
It's like a right.
I just thought it was a slang way of saying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to babalize someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Michael Pitt's character for sure. I mean, it's kind of, he's like almost, he seems such a lovable stoner, but then he's also the, you know, not to jump too far ahead, he's one of the guys that starts the whole violent act at the end. So it's kind of off-putting when you see him in that final scene.
Yeah.
He's the character I relate to most because I've also done a bunch of acid and been a stupid kid. So I was like, I like this guy.
Well, as I was watching him,
I just have a connection to him. Yeah.
As I was watching him, you know, play the part, I was kind of like, is he supposed to be like slow? And yeah, the real Donnie was actually borderline or low functioning, supposedly. So like,
oh really?
Yeah. So like those parts where he's like, I don't know how intentional it was, just him being a character or him like trying to be slow or whatever else. It's like where he can't remember like to say, I'm Heather's boyfriend. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like he just keeps
he's
on
he's a hot slow guy.
Yeah, you could
he
be
is hot.
You could be slow when you're hot. So
yeah,
he's a hunk.
Yeah, Michael Pitt. He's done a lot of Murder by Numbers, funny games. He's played a lot of
funny
murderers.
games.
Yeah. The English version of Funny Games. That's a great one too.
Wasn't he Hannibal Lecter at a young age when they did that prequel movie? Or am I off?
Maybe
there's a series.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The Hannibal Rising, was it?
Hannibal, yeah. He was Mason Berger in Hannibal.
Oh, okay.
He's also in Boardwalk Empire. He apparently has a really good role as Jimmy Darmody. He got a bunch of awards for it.
Yeah,
I love him.
Yeah, I was really surprised he didn't like get a more level of fame and stardom. I remember like that was one of my this kid's like a star. Like watching him bully, like he was really good performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Leo DiCaprio, right? You're like, why did Leo get big but not this guy?
He's a poor man.
I guess maybe he looks too much like him, you know, right? Like there's already that slot's already filled. We can't have another guy like this.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, along with a lot of people, he's had a very troubled life later on in recent years with like arrest and
he's got an arrest section on his Wikipedia.
Yeah. You get all these people have gone to personal life, and I'm like, majority so far, arrest, drug addiction, etc.
Yeah, that happens in Larry Clark movies. Unfortunately, it's part of the curse.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of these guys. You look at Nick Stahl in these days, and he's looking pretty rough for 46. Like,
Yeah, really. They probably all are. Even we were just talking about shout out Michael Pitt. You're looking your age these days. Leo Fitzpatrick. I saved this for myself because he's my favorite. The star of the show. When Leo Fitzpatrick isn't on the screen, the audience should be asking, "Where's Leo Fitzpatrick?" And Joey left a note here. He said, "If you love him so much, why don't you marry him?" I might. Send him my way. He said, "I remember they wanted Jared Leto to play my part as the hitman. And Larry was like, no, it's got to be Leo. Leo is in all of my movies. So I had to audition for it. I had to show Larry that I could be intimidating. So I had to get in his face and shit." Not much to say. I mean, he's amazing. I was so excited. This is my favorite part because I was like, I knew he was going to be in it. And when he popped up, I was like, it's Telly. It's Telly from Kids. So I was really excited.
Yeah, he's so grown up. But of course, I got the classic, just like Kids. You got young teenage boys, shirtless, smoking cigarettes when you're introduced to him.
I guess, yeah, bringing that up, I kind of didn't understand his role at first because, like, he's supposed to be this badass motherfucker or whatever. He has the tattoo on his arm. But apparently he's, like, he failed to get into this one gang. And so he formed his own gang of, like, these just kid ruffians. Like, you almost think of Harmony Korine, right? And I think that's an interesting point to bring up is it's, like, I think Spaghetti said this in his review, but, like, it's not just, Larry Clark's movies and Kids and stuff, it's not just good because of Harmony Korine, and you can see that with something like Bully.
Yeah. It was with our sort of journey we've taken here on the podcast and the Harmony Korine works. You know, the big benchmark in the beginning was, especially when we were looking at Kids, is how much of it was influenced by Harmony and how much was Larry Clark. And I think this was a good episode that we could sort of dissect the two different styles and stuff like that. But doubling back down on Leo Fitzpatrick, what I love about his role is it's almost like it could just literally be Telly just a couple years later. Like, it could have been that same actual person that was in Kids, and now he's randomly in Florida and he's this other guy, but I know it's based on a true person previous. But that's sort of the idea I had going in my head. It was like, yep, it is directly Telly, just a couple years later. So
I love him, and I love his gang of little kids that just immediately turn on him. What the fuck? And then I guess here, Kelly Garner. Let me leave this one to Adam. Go ahead and read me some Kelly Garner, Adam.
Yeah, Kelly
There's
Garner.
a lot here. Don't feel like you have to read all of that, but read some stuff.
I feel like I got to read all of it, man. Kelly Garner, she plays Heather Swallers. This is Lisa's friend. And she says here, I had just started acting and I'd done The Architect of Reassurance for Mike Mills, and he had dyed my hair blue. And I also had these like clear braces on my teeth. I think Larry was very obsessed or attracted to how I looked in that film. He was originally interested in me for a smaller role as the Pizza Hut girl, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that role. I'll do this if I get to play Heather. And Larry Clark shared a gross anecdote, actually, that sexualizes a minor about actress Kelly Gardner, who plays Heather. And Gardner had these great teeth. Her teeth are all crooked. She was just beautiful, Clark said sincerely, but then followed it up with, she had the most beautiful breasts in the whole world, and she's only 16 to 17 years old or something. And I actually have her naked in a naked scene with Michael Pitt laying in bed naked in that film. And there was just a big coup to be able to do that scene. Yikes. I think we all remember that scene, right?
Yeah, and here's a direct quote from her about this, which I thought was super interesting.
This is the quote. There's a scene where there's not any acting work. It's just Michael Pitt and me lying in bed, sleeping. Bijou's character is in the corner rocking a crying baby, and there's no dialogue. I remember being brought to set and put under the sheet, and it was the first time I had seen a naked male's body, which was shocking. I'm slipped into this bed, and I'm in underwear and a big t-shirt because that's what my character is going to sleep in. But somehow my shirt comes off. I remember Bijou, who's very comfortable with herself and her body, kind of bitching at me, yelling, "Calm down! Why are you being so nervous? Take it off. Everyone wants to see your tits." I was so nervous and sweating in that heat and not understanding what was happening. I kind of turned to Michael, looking for protection, and action gets called, and the sheets get ripped off me. You can watch this scene in the movie. I cross my arm over my chest and I'm uncomfortable, and it's on film, and I was underage, and no one said anything. So there are moments like that are hard for me and that I've never spoken about. I was a child on set and there were multiple adults in the room, and no one really said anything about how inappropriate some things were. Having to kind of hold that to yourself so young when in front of you is your future and your dreams, I didn't know how to ask questions, or I didn't know how I was feeling. And so I thought, just fit into the system. This is your dream. This must be what real art feels like. Holy shit. That's pretty heavy, Dan.
That's a quote from her at the end too.
Was it brutal? Yeah. Was it hot? August in fucking South Florida. But there was something magical.
I think everything's kind of said there, folks, but that's the one part that really gets me about this movie is maybe that's the, and him bragging about it. I don't know. This is why I don't want him around my nieces, but I like his art. This is for Joey. I saved this one for Joey. Go ahead and read me about, I don't know how to say his last name, Daniel Francesi. Is Derek DeVerco?
Franzisi, I think is how I listened to an interview with, well, not an interview. He was on a podcast talking about Bully. I linked this to Dan before because I think it's called Cinema Possessed, and they have a really funny song about a minute into it. So I would recommend just listening to it for that. But like the first hour of that pod is pretty much Daniel talking about his time there. I think they call it his Franzisi, I think is how they pronounced it. I was saying Franzese in my head, so if I say either one, it's the same guy. Franco Vanzisi had no prior screen credits and was scouted by Cuba while singing at a talent show night at a Florida bar. When Carmen was scouting locations for the club scene, there was a talent show happening that night, and I was singing in it. I didn't win, so I got a little drunk because I used to try to win to pay my rent. When I got introduced to Larry by Carmen, I kind of fangirled over him a bit. Daniel was a huge fan of kids and had seen it 9 times in theaters. Larry hated me. When I went to the audition, Carmen was like, Larry doesn't like you, so when you go in, just pretend to be the character. I didn't know he really truly liked me until after the movie. He talks about that in that interview too. That whole interview is really good. It's worth listening to. It takes you inside, he talks a lot about his grandmother and stuff too, and how supportive she was. It's pretty cute, and his sexuality, and then these things like this here. In 2018, Daniel Franzisi revealed that Bijou Phillips had been extremely cruel to him and subjected him to a lot of homophobic and fat-shaming bullying when they were on the set, saying that she kept trying to goad him into admitting that he was gay years before he came out as such, and she laughed at his appearance when he removed his shirt at the pool party and even twisted one of his nipples. He also said that the producers looked the other way and allowed her behavior to continue as she came from a famous family. However, Franzisi did note that his co-stars Michael Pitt, Brad Renfro, and Nick Stahl all repeatedly and vocally stood up for him and called Phillips out for her behavior, with Stahl trying to convince her to apologize. Here's his quote. There was a scene where I had to take my shirt off, and it was extremely vulnerable for me because I had gained weight during production on purpose because the producers told me that the only reason my character would kill someone was because he wanted to be around cool kids. So during the scene, I took my shirt off, and Bijou goes, "You're so gross!" And I was kind of like, fuck this, and walked away. And Brad ran over to me and grabbed me, and he kissed me on the mouth and was like, listen to me, you're fucking beautiful, you're a terrific actor, and don't let her ruin this for you. I felt like at that moment I really needed a safe place, and he was it for me. Sorry, I was mimicking his voice a little bit there. But he tells these stories and many more. I think one of the cool stories, well, I don't know how cool it is, but he talks about, there's a scene when he's hyperventilating in the car after they kill Bobby, and other Derek is like, hey, get the fuck out here and help me move this body or whatever. And he's supposed to piss himself, and he pissed himself in real life. And so he's like, oh, I can do that. And he did it in the movie, and he pissed himself and had to sit in pissy pants all the rest of the night shoot, but they did not use the scene where he's actually peeing on himself. So that was
damn all for nothing.
Yeah. So just piss pants all night. He, of course, was in Mean Girls, as someone else brought up. I forgot. I didn't realize that either until after. I didn't even watch Mean Girls till last year because my niece was in a senior production something for like a play in high school about it. And anyway, co-starred alongside Kyle Mooney in Toro y Moi, 2011's music video for How I Know. He gets killed by a haunted house and becomes a ghost.
Oh yeah,
Dan put a
Shout out.
picture of there. So yeah, I highly recommend again that Cinema Possessed, I believe was the podcast name. I had never listened to them before, and I was just trying to find stuff to listen to as I was going grocery shopping. And fuck, that song is so funny. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. Please listen to it. At least the first 3
It
minutes.
is Cinema Possessed by Jack Bishop and Corey Clifford. Check it out. There's not much more here. We got more actors. We're not going to spend time on that. But I did want to note Mark Pearson as Marty's brother. Brad Renfro and Mark Pearson, who played Puccio brothers, both passed away January 2008 and then in 2010 at the ages of 25 and 23 due to drug overdoses. So yeah, art mirroring reality, etc. The other way around. It's sad because you have that scene where they hug in this movie and you're just like, oh, and yeah, he passed away too.
You got one more big actor in there that we didn't talk
Who's
about.
one more big actor? You go ahead and bring him up.
Larry
Your turn.
Clark.
Boom.
Okay,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
obviously.
Old man Larry's in his own movie.
Is that supposed to be his dad?
He's like Tully's dad, basically.
Tully's dad,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he cracks me up in the movie. Just like he's like, tell him he's not coming home, or I forget the exact quote, but he's like,
Tell her you're a writer.
no shit, Larry
Writer
Clark.
in jail.
Yeah,
Tell her you're a writer in jail. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all it's a shirtless family.
Yeah.
Shirtless family.
That is perfect. That is like the perfect casting decision for that role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. He's like Alfred Hitchcock.
Yep.
So yeah, shout out. Yeah, good. Glad you brought that up. I do want to make some room here for Joey with the notes on the real case. Do what you will, and we'll react.
Okay, so again, like I think I said, no one else has read the book, right? Has anybody watched any forensic files or anything about this before?
No, I wanted to. I didn't.
Okay, it's definitely on YouTube. Easy to do. There's some Where Are They Now things as well. There's actually one where it talks about a very interesting Reddit thread about people trying to impersonate Allie in real life, and I don't know. It's very strange, but anyway. So yeah, the real case here. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. I'm going to be on the notes here. If anybody wants to follow along on page around 25, I'm going to jump around. And I thought the most interesting thing was how close they got to it. I mean, they could have put everything else in there. Again, I can't really remember anything that's like wrong outside of, they're in 99 or 2000, whatever, instead of 93, in the movie. So like I said earlier, like 5 of them were all dropouts. Donnie was a dropout. He eventually went back, but of course they got in trouble before he could finish. Hey there, dog. Anyway, sorry. If I had my camera on, you would have saw Cat for most of this thing. So, Donnie. So again, I'll start over. So, Allie, Donnie, Heather, Lisa, and Marty all dropped out of high school. Lisa and Marty both came from Catholic families. An interesting note was Marty's mom was what is called a charismatic Catholic. Does anybody know what that is? Has anybody heard of that before?
No, I'm reading next to it. I didn't know that.
So they are like a cross between Catholicism and Pentecostal. They speak in tongues and believe in faith healing and all that stuff. I had friends in Ireland whose mom was actually a charismatic Catholic too. I didn't knew it was a thing that existed. So it was like, So it's pretty strict upbringings. Bobby's parents immigrated from Iran. Fred and Farah Kent, the original surname, I guess, if this is right, Khayyam. This is dropped really early in the movie, and you kind of see it as it goes through with Bobby washing his hands, him being an OCD guy. But I think he did a really good job of interlacing these small things like that. Because even like right at the beginning, after the sandwich shop, you don't think much about it. Because he's getting off work, he's just washing his hands. Why wouldn't you? But then, he's naked washing his hands like 6 more times in the movie.
You're right.
And, I think the biggest thing that's probably left out here is that Marty was also a fucking bully. 100% an asshole. Marty and Bobby were friends from a young age, from 5, 6. They grew up 4 houses down from each other. And Marty, was always the sidekick. Bobby was the cool kid once they got to high school. They would do stuff like this. They would ask special eds kids to come play catch with them and then just fucking hit them in the head with a football and stuff like that. Like, real big piece of shit stuff. They insinuate it. They don't go to the guy by name, but in the movie when they start doing the gay porn film and Derek comes in and looks at it, it's like, what is this shit? You know, and the guy's sucking a dildo and dancing naked. Like, that was a real thing that happened. They met a guy named Larry Schaefer at the gym, and they lied and said that he was, you know, they were gay, and that Marty did phone sex, was a prostitute, did phone sex, which that was true. And he did it for $25 a week with Schaefer. Eventually, they got him to do that one movie, and they wanted him to do a second one, but he refused. So when this was at his house, and Bobby just beats the shit out of him for a minute, and then Marty acts like he's going to help him up and also starts beating him up. So, I mean, you know, he was like that. And then there is a story here of one time Marty and Bobby made Lisa undress, and they took turns hitting her with the weight belt and then having sex with her, each of them. I don't know, like Lisa's mom one time this was in the movie where she calls and says, the only thing I can say to you, lady, is you're a pig and so is your daughter. Like when she asks about, did you know her?
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, he's a fucking asshole, major asshole too. And I think the biggest thing here, like, he wasn't the very innocent guy. And I understand why you would kind of leave that out, because if you had all that stuff in there too, you'd be like, this movie's just too fucked up. I'm not going to watch this. You know, if they were both doing that, you know, it would go sadism overdrive, right? One thread that is pulled on in the movie, and they don't pull on it too hard, is there's that scene where after he washes his hands, Bobby walks in on Marty and her having sex, and like throws her off and like punches Marty, and I guess he kind of nods to the fact that maybe he raped both of them or had sex with both of them.
Well, he
or
hits her with
else.
a weight belt, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does hit her with
the weight belt. Yeah.
You know, so he leans, he nods to that happening, but you know, I think even Larry or someone said they should have, or maybe it was Nick Stahl saying he should have played the character more gay later.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole gay coded thing, yeah.
Yeah, that they weren't sure. Like, it's never explicit in any of this research, but I would be willing to guess that Marty and Bobby used to fuck around some, and you know, there's always Bobby at least dangling over his head. Obviously, he has homosexual tendencies and stuff, and it's like, oh, you're gay, Marty? I think you do like that shit. Like when he got done dancing, you know, at that talent show, which happened. You know, like, but there's a lot of stuff like that. I won't tell every detail of these notes. I think that was one of the most interesting ones. Marty had been arrested previously for trespassing, shoplifting, possession of marijuana. Him and Bobby were also arrested in a nursing home for what's called prowling. Does any other state have a charge like that besides Florida? I don't think we have that in Kentucky. Prowling?
Never heard of it.
It's like loitering with bad intent. I just thought that was
That's a Florida
interesting.
thing.
You know, and it says in Florida, loitering or prowling occurs where a person maintains a suspicious presence in an unusual time, place, or manner, and under circumstances that indicate an imminent threat to the safety of persons or property. The offense carries penalties that may include jail or on a permanent criminal record. And I could only think at a nursing home, what were they? They probably were up to like something, right?
They're just trying to help out.
Yeah, and so I'll skip now to Allie, because I think she is a really interesting backstory, and it's kind of goes hand in hand with Bijou Phillips a little bit. But Allie was raised as a rich kid, and she always got what she wanted. There's, you know, in these articles talks about, you know, she had credit cards, and she would buy Heather like $5,000 worth of clothes at a time when Heather would come and stay with her, or $500, I forget. But you know, she was very spoiled. She became sexually active at 12, and there was a story about how when she was 14, her and another girl, like they had asked their older ex-boyfriends for a ride, an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old. These guys were in a gang too, supposedly. And pretty much the guys kidnapped them and played truth or consequences at knife point, which I guess is just, you know, do what I say or I'm going to fuck you up. And they made them take their clothes off and raped them and beat them, stole their jewelry. And then like an off-duty cop saw them at a gas station and called more police, and they arrested them. And these guys ended up serving time for it. She was also, after she switched schools, she met a guy and married, had a baby. They show that in the movie, of course. They don't really talk about him. There's not much in the articles here either. Later, she met a guy named Thomas Hildebrand, and that guy was a head of a child prostitution ring, and she began turning tricks around that time in high school for $150 a session. I think there was even a thing, I'll get to that in a second. She's dated Bobby, and so like all those scenes with her and Bobby hitting her and like, tell me I'm the best, and fucking, putting out to try to kill it. All that shit happened. All the bad shit in this movie fucking happened, which is really sad. In fact, it's not even the worst parts, as I say.
Yeah, it's realistic.
Yeah, I mean, so like there was another girl that later on, where is it? Okay, yeah. So later on, Lisa starts telling people they're going to kill Bobby before it happens. And one of these girls was a girl named Eileen. And that girl, Eileen, used to skip school to also do prostitution. And she was arrested about 2 months before the murder, being videotaped in a hotel giving head to a police officer. She was also pimped by the Hildebrand guy, the same guy as Allie. And the Eileen girl was sent to recruit for him in high schools. And that's how Eileen was also the one that suggested Lisa contact Derek Kaufman, is what it said in the notes that I read. So I guess that would be a change too instead of Allie, but they would have known each other. So that's really sad. The book starts out with that thread, pulling on the child prostitution ring.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, she was really fucked up, obviously. But pretty much everything else, like I say, happened. I can't think of anything bigger that really is worth talking about. The Heather story that Heather tells, like about her grandfather killing her grandma with a claw hammer and then having sex with a dead body for 2 days behind and getting drunk. Also a true story. And that, the whole thing about her mom waking her up and reading the fucking case notes and stuff to her while she was drunk at 4 a.m. True story. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. Every person in here has a lot of trauma from some way or the other. Like cousin Derek, his dad left to Mexico to avoid child support. Now he had a stepdad too, but he was the only halfway normal person out of that whole group, I think.
Yeah, and they show that in the movie. He's just like, he really likes video games. That's his drug.
Yeah. So, I mean, Marty was also a piece of shit. I think that's worth noting. So yeah, I don't know. I've talked for a moment here. I'll let somebody else go now.
Yeah, well, Tyler's got to head out soon. I'm gonna let Tyler say his piece about Bully before he heads out. Because this fucking podcast is insanely long. So, sorry everyone.
Yeah, this is crazy. I'm glad to be a part of this. But yeah, Bully in general, I mean, it's obviously feels very exploitative. It's gratuitous, and it's nudity and it's violence. But I think it's, I mean, once you're hearing the true story, really it's holding back from a lot of the realities. And it's kind of like a point. I mean, besides the one actress who was underage, I mean, that's very problematic. And we know Larry Clark is problematic. Don't really need to spend time on that. But I would say it's really just showing a reality. I mean, I've never come across people this bad. And in my later teen years, I was doing all sorts of degenerate shit, I mean, like I said, nothing this bad. I didn't know anyone involved in murder, but this is it's a real reality for a lot of teenagers in America. And this is like one of the most extreme cases. I think Larry Clark just does a great job. He has a gift of getting young, for the most part, besides a few people, like young, inexperienced actors, and just getting a real performance out of them. I mean, obviously seeing a movie like Kids, which, like someone mentioned, you could have the debate between how much did Harmony Korine have on that, or how much was Larry Clark. And I think it's a good even split. When you see a movie like Bully, it's clear that Larry Clark just has a gift for getting these performances out of younger actors. So overall, I mean, yeah, this is a very disturbing movie. It was hard to watch at times, but yeah, I, in a way, enjoyed it a lot. I mean, it's just it's real and it's raw and authentic. And most people I would not recommend this to, but if you're someone that has a stomach for this kind of movie, then yeah, I would recommend it.
Hell yeah, you gave me my recommendation early. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, well, I got to bounce out, so yeah, I got to give my little spiel before I go.
Oh yeah, dog.
I appreciate you joining us, man. And there's nowhere to, I guess there is somewhere to check you out. You just released a new EP, right? New Death Cats?
Yeah, it's been I don't know, at least a year and a half. Still putting stuff out. I mean, granted, we don't really promote it or I don't even do shows anymore at this point in my life. But hey, there's music still out there. So anyone listening to this, check it out. Deaf Cats on any streaming service.
We're going to promote it here, and it's going to be in the description. It's going to be the first thing you see.
Hell yeah.
Check it out.
Save that file, dog.
Yeah, save that file.
Oh, yeah.
Send it to us later. You're good. You don't feel like you need to send it now, but love you, bud. Hope you have a good day. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Have a good one, Tyler.
This is a lot of fun. I'll see you guys around.
See you, man.
Peace, bro. All right, and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna keep moving. Sorry, everyone. I understand this is a long ass podcast, but I kind of assumed it was going to be. This is the biggest one we've ever done. And,
don't lie. Burning was bigger.
Burning is we burn that movie. All right, let's get into just I guess the plot of Bully. Let's talk about Bully. We've already talked a lot about Bully, but let's go through some of the plot. I'm not gonna go through line by line or anything, but we meet Marty, Puccio, Bobby Kent, two lifelong friends in South Florida whose relationships already warped beyond recognition. We see that early scenes of Marty being bullied, which is shocking. It's shocking to see, especially that scene in the car. Like I brought it up earlier, but he beats him, just keeps punching him, and he gets upset. And that's the first moment in the movie I was just like, damn. This is crazy. Sorry. He controls every aspect of his life, which is just nuts. And he's asking his parents, we talked about that. He's like, can we move? Can we move? He has a black eye at dinner, and he has his old grandma there. And I kind of love that about Larry Clark movies, is he includes old people alongside these very crazy young characters. So you have Brad Renfro freaking out and be like, what the fuck? It doesn't fucking matter. And you just have old people trying to eat their food. And I just love that. That's amazing. And then, the girls, we start being introduced to them. I was shocked initially with Lisa and her character, because you don't expect, she kind of has that girl next door look to her. And obviously that's intentional, it says here and all this stuff. But I was kind of shocked how sexual it got immediately with her. And you have the weird scene in the back seat where they're having sex. Buju Phillips' character and her, and I don't know, it's just so matter of fact and crazy. I was never in that situation in my life where I was having sex with my friends in the same car,
Yeah, it kind of stuff like that, it kind of reinforces the gay undertones of this movie, how sexual they are near each other. I don't think I'd ever want to sit with my friends and be like, hey, bro, let's get boners next to each other.
Dan, you have to say you haven't yet. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still the big meetup coming, the Dan and Adam meetup. So
I think one thing that's I didn't really hit on, the real thing is the real character was overweight by a bit. I just posted a link to where I got quite a bit from Miami Herald, October 24th, 1993. It's an expose on the whole thing, and there's a lot of pictures of them, and you can see on there, she is nowhere near as attractive as the actor, as Rachel. So you factor that in, and she talked about that a lot in the interviews, that he was just such a hunk, and I couldn't believe he was my dream, and kind of explains a whole lot too, is why the jealousy and the infighting and why she let so much stuff happen to her, and just crazily obsessed. But
yeah, I'm posting just the photo right now, so if anyone can't click in, I think Daniel Francesi looks a lot like Derek DeVerco, so I don't know why there is any controversy around that. I think the casting is great for that one.
Yeah, he's the only one that's really close.
It's crazy close. He assaults Marty, sexually humiliates Allie. He manipulates everyone around him. The group begins to collectively realize Bobby is a problem, and they don't know how to solve it. So who brings up the murder first? Isn't it Lisa?
Yeah.
We should fucking kill him.
Yeah, because they're on the beach, and she's like, we got to take care of him. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I'm talking about killing him.
How do you feel about the really melodramatic scenes there with Brad Renfro crying and stuff?
Very relatable. I mean, just because my first times of smoking pot were not fun. Well, you know what I mean? Like I absolutely was like terrified. I didn't have like a friend who was like tormenting me, but I think I literally did like run up to my bedroom and just like lay in bed being like, I'm going to die. I'm down. Oh God, this is terrifying.
That there is an interesting note on like the melodrama that I sort of picked up on this particular watch, because typically I've watched this film and I pay attention more to the facts of the narrative, the case file aspect, kind of that kind of mentality. But I last watched the movie before this round about 2 years ago, and so this round when I was watching it, all the events are very fresh in my mind. And so I was more in tune with like the acting presence and stuff. And, obviously there's the naturality element of it that exists in a lot of the movie. But then also, and it was almost like they were polar opposite of each other. There was that forced melodrama aspect. And it was interesting because the scripting of the film is not really that crazy as far as like, the dialogue, how it's written out and everything like that. It's very, very brutish, very basic, but it's, enacted to mere teenagers, but it was just sort of interesting because I was reading just different letterbox reviews of like people who liked the movie and then people who hated the movie. And that was one of the big takeaways from people who don't like Bully is the scripting. But long story short, with my ramble here is that duality of the naturality, but then the forced melodrama sort of created this weird layer of kitschiness to me, where it added like an extra trashy layer. Not directly like in the John Waters territory, but John Waters is a good comparison where he'll do heightened melodrama with some trash elements. And it was just sort of little subtle nuances of that in this, even though that wasn't its main prerogative. So that was an interesting takeaway I had. Since you brought up melodrama. It's a weird
contrast.
Yeah.
It's a weird contrast. Like it's like, silk and sandpaper or something.
Yeah. So,
well, yep. I think it was in that interview Daniel Franzese did, and he talked about the process of like the script itself had a lot more like dialogue of like, yo, B, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, we don't fucking talk like that in Florida. And so I definitely had their own thing. And he talked about that I think everybody had read the book, and they were pretty much, Clark, I think, told them like, you have to read this book and I want you to know more about the book than you do the script type deal. Which I thought was pretty interesting. I think that it makes sense for the fact that, like we say, he had a lot of people that were on their first or second gigs or just not that established yet. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I read too that, a lot of the dialogue where he's like throwing the script out and using the book as like the source of truth or whatever for the film. And I think I forget where I read it, doing a little quick research, but they're saying that they try to take actual lines from the court transcript, so it's like real as closely as possible to how they're speaking. And I guess when you have experienced or actors that are maybe in their mixed in with somebody who's trained or has more experience, it had an interesting dynamic, and it definitely did feel forced. It felt like, wow, they talk like this, and so it had that authenticity in it. Like even though it was scripted, it was you could have that feel of documentary, true crime, Dateline feel to it almost.
Mm-hmm. I love all the like. I love this movie is very one-iric. It's very Larry Clark, and I think his style is so like clear by watching this one. I did want to mention real quickly, I forgot to mention, Lisa's pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Big plot line that's not really followed up on that much. But
And that's also one of those things that, like, because she had sex with Bobby too, it's like, could it have been? I think that was probably a big thought for them. Of course, since he's Iranian, you think if the baby was born, you would pretty much be able to tell. But, at the time,
Right.
Someone I think
Yeah, in the real
Bobby's. No, it's not.
Yeah. That is, cause that's kind of introduced early in the film, and then they never really go back to it. She's like, because it's like where Marty like gets violent with Lisa in the kitchenette. Bobby's right, and it's like, you're taking care of this. You get money, you're taking care of this, and then they just drop that, right? But it's clearly, nothing was ever done. Because then when you fast forward to the end in the court, I'm having this baby in 4 weeks, and I'm gonna call it Marty if it's a boy.
Isn't that like sort of the conduit, what starts the conversation about killing Bobby? Because doesn't she like try to stray away from like she's announcing that she's pregnant, and then I forget who she's talking to, but they're like, well, didn't you sleep with both of them? And then she like sort of changes the subject, and she goes, yeah, we should kill Bobby. It sort of goes into that kind of thing. She's like, no, let's not bring it up.
And she's just like, no, it's definitely Marty's. Like, without saying matter of factly when she had like no way of knowing. And that's
there's
like
your friend who's like all shocking later.
If they didn't go through with like killing Bobby, like wasn't this be just prime like Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, like early 2000s content? Like that was like very big in that
straight
time
up
frame.
Florida man shit for sure.
Yeah, Florida.
That's why it feels Floridian.
It's a deeply Floridian movie. Yeah.
There's also the scene at the gay bar, which I don't know. I was wondering, is that where they scouted Daniel Francesi or whatever?
Yeah.
Is Francesi is?
I don't know if it's that same bar,
but
yeah. I mean, and he says it was a gay bar in the interviews and stuff.
Yeah. I love when I forces him to go up, which is like, there should have been more gay stuff in this movie, for sure.
If you think though, at the time though, that's pretty gay. A lot of gay stuff for 2001.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird that they're making gay porn together. That's the most shocking part for 2001 people. We are introduced to Allie, her new boyfriend, Donnie Semenek. Free Donnie Semenek, by the way. There's a petition you can go sign right now. People are commenting all over it right now. They said, free my childhood friend. These people are still in jail.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't mention that much in the real life story, did we? But like 3 of these guys are still in jail.
Yes. Lisa's out. Does
All
anybody
the
know?
women are out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the women and Derek. Yeah.
And
Where are they now? Do you know? Did anybody catch what Lisa's doing?
They're all like professionals now. There's details.
She lives in Pennsylvania somewhere. She's kind of estranged, I think, from the daughter. She has other kids. Obviously, it's hard to find some stuff. Like Derek lives in, I think, Missouri. I think it is. He's a single father or something. Was a truck driver at one point. Allie and Heather, I'm not really sure about.
Yeah. But we do get introduced to Donnie Semenek, and I think everything with him is amazing. Like he's introduced having sex with Allie, like they're dripping like candle wax on each other. And he's like, she's a freak. Until she goes over. I thought that was an interesting scene too when she gets assaulted by Bobby. She leaves. She's like, he just assaulted me. She's like, come on, Allie. I thought you said you liked it freaky. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, we're introduced to him, and that's really where the murder plot really comes together. It's a lot of just scenes of them eventually coming to it. I do love the scene where Derek, played by Mean Girls guy Daniel, has the freak out, and he tries to protect Lisa at the house when she tells him about the pregnancy, Marty about the pregnancy, and he's freaking out. And he's like, I love that performance where he just freaks out. Like, what are you doing? I just love that like raw performance. It's so good.
Yeah, and he definitely like. I mean, I think he said he was like 6'1". So he looked like he's probably about 240, 250 at least there. And so, I mean, he's much bigger than the other guys. He takes up the whole screen when he comes in. And it's definitely like a performance. And it's funny to see him do that and then play so meekly later. I think he did a great job throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, amazing. He's one. Everyone in here, it is like a, what is it called? Not a collage, but it's like a, it's a, I almost had the word. Ensemble. It's like a true ensemble because no one really outshines anyone else necessarily. Right. Everyone has their moment. Lisa recruits her cousin, the shy and nerdy Derek DeVerco. They initially plan to kill Bobby with a gun stolen from Lisa's mother. Allie and Lisa lure Bobby to the Everglades. The plan is being that Lisa will shoot him while he has sex with Allie. But Lisa finds herself unable to do it. That's a bizarre scene all of itself right there where like Allie goes through all this, has sex with Bobby or whatever, and she can't bring herself to shoot him. And that's like a real common thread all the way to the end. Realizing they need help, they hire Derek Kaufman, and you're introduced to him. And at first, I was like, "Oh, he actually is in the mafia. Like he knows all about." He's like, "This doesn't sound like a sanctified hit or whatever, sanctioned hit." And you kind of think he's real. And he really acts the part throughout the movie. But they orchestrate the plan. They're going to go to the Everglades again. They're going to lure him out, saying they're going to blow out their 5-0. That's a big thing in the movie. You guys want to blow out the 5-0 or whatever? Dog out. Dog out. Yeah, there you go. I had no idea what that meant, but it has to do with the engine. And at one point, it wasn't actually that. And so the character's like, this isn't a 5.0, you dumb bitch. So they go, promise the sex with Allie. Heather, so they have the whole plan. Like it's so like all the planning is ridiculous because they're just yelling about murder out in the street outside these suburban homes. Like, we're gonna kill this guy. And when they go to do it, the plan's so fucking stupid. There's like, all right, you're just gonna walk over there and say something about alligators. And so Heather goes over there and she does that. But I guess I do want to mention that disturbing scene with Heather where she tells her story just randomly when they're like high or whatever. And she's like telling this horrifying story about her grandfather or whatever.
Yeah.
Joey got into that earlier with a real life story, but it is like insinuated that he probably assaulted her as well. But you can tell like, and it's noted, I think somewhere that everyone, what is her name? What is her name in the movie?
Heather.
Everyone knows where Heather's at. She doesn't even really need to have much dialogue. You just know she's very damaged. And I think that performance is really good too.
Yeah, like even when they pick her up, it's like she's sneaking out. It felt like she's sneaking out of like her parents' house, or it kind of even seemed like maybe they were like getting her out of rehab or something. It didn't feel like she was. It felt like she was definitely like, oh, I'm getting out of here, and like so definitely that troubled past and carefree. All right, yeah, let's go to South Florida. Do you have any tweak? Like he's like, oh, do you have any tweak? Like she immediately gets in, just like and Donnie's like, no, but I have a glove box full of acid, right?
Oh man, I was so jealous. Did anyone? Damn. All right, I have to skip that thought. I already forgot completely what I was gonna say. Damn. Basically, they kill Bobby. What do you guys think about the kill scene? That's the big showpiece in the movie. It's show-stopping. It's one of them. There's that in the ending that are really effective. I thought it was like, I was like fucking pumped. The way they edited it, the way they had whatever music was playing at the time. Like it's so frenetic and fun. What do you guys think about that? Let's start with MJ.
Yeah, it felt real. It felt like they stayed to like the court documents in like retrospect. It felt like, it's they played to like the reality of it. Like these guys were taking this guy's life, and it's not like they made it like seem like, okay, this is not like it is in the movies, and the steps they go through. It's like, oh, like, okay, do it. And then he's still alive. And it's like just the extreme measure of it. Like where I believe it's Donnie who attacks him first, and is like, wait a minute, and like Bobby doesn't even really know what's happening. Like, what is that? And then he starts getting stabbed by Marty, and like, oh, he's still alive, and it builds, and it's like, yeah, it takes a lot to kill a guy, and they're learning that as they're in it, and so I agree. It was like frenetic. It felt real, like, and I think that's what's like it's like disturbing to watch because of that because it has that sense of like, this is what these characters did in real life,
Yeah, no, it is very naturalistic in the way it's portrayed. What about you, Sweetie? What do you think about the kill scene?
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, the other naturalistic element is that they just definitely don't know what the hell they're doing, kind of thing. So it's all sporadic in the sense that they're panicking in the moment, and also, circulating around the kill sequence. Also, when they're like freaking out after the fact and, talking out loud at the top of their lungs, just spilling their dirt, not giving a shit who's around. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my, like every third person's going to hear you and report your ass. But, that's the one thing I like about that is there's the realness that, the murder's obviously not going to be clean. But yeah, just they really played into the ignorance of it all. So, yeah.
What about you, Joey?
Well, I mean, like, from the perspective of the whole movie in general there, it's like just, Lisa is the ringleader per se. And it's funny because even back when she's on the phone right before this starts, he's talking to someone and he's like, he raped Allie, he raped me, he beats me. But the worst part is how he picks on Marty. That's the worst part. How he picks on Marty. So like just they're so disillusioned with the whole everything that's going on. They all bring different weapons. Like there's bats, one scuba knife, one of the pocket knives. They had a gun, but they didn't use it. And, there's 6 of them. And I think one thing that, like, because it is frantic and it is well shot. And I don't know if it was Derek that said it was pretty much, the cousin Derek said it was pretty accurate. Someone did, somewhere in some interview. One of the people said it was pretty accurate to how it happened. But, we forget in real life, Bobby Kent was a big muscle-bound dude. So you can kind of see, like, how this unfolds and everybody doesn't know what to do. And surprisingly, some of them still finish it, he stabs him once and he turns around and like, Marty, I'm bleeding, and then Marty comes in and stabs him in the gut and et cetera, et cetera. Very, very brutal. I think the interesting part too is when they have to, they get their story right. They didn't even have like their plan all the way together until they got there, supposedly, exactly in real life too. Like, all right, will you go down now? And say, are there alligators in there? I said, are there alligators in there?
She's like not loud enough.
Yeah. So I don't know. It definitely, like, this movie is such a fucking tour de force as a kid. Like, well, I wasn't a kid, but as a teenager, young adult watching this, it was just like, nothing like this.
Yeah. So we were saying we were jealous we hadn't seen this when we were kids. Yeah. Adam, what about you? Do you have anything to add on the kill scene?
Not much. I mean, there's not much else I can say other than like, yeah, frenetic is such a great word. Because like, also like, I was sitting here trying to think of the phrase like a comedy of dunces or something like that. Because like everyone, they're all so bad at their jobs in this scene. Like they're like even who was that? Donnie, like just running up there and like even like watching it, like he just like runs up so fucking frantically and just stabs him in the back. Probably not like, I don't know, maybe not even that deep, not that deeply, and like it just truly is one of those like, you're like, well,
and then retreats.
Yeah. It's like watching Caesar get stabbed where everybody has to fucking do it because like they're not able to take him down right away because nobody's actually, killing a man is a hard thing to do. and they don't even really do it because they dump it when they dump his body. He's still alive, like so.
Well, it's like he walks back to the car and he's wiping his knife off the blood on his pants, and he's like, "Is he dead?" It's like, "Well, he's getting there."
He's getting there. It's the laugh out loud in the trailer. Yeah. So the thing that strikes me is, it's chaotic, and you have some of the characters immediately running away, like, we got to get out of here. Like, they don't even want to be involved with it anymore. That's crazy to me. Like, you have the Heather completely collapsing in the backseat, like hugging her knees. And that's the chaotic element that I'll always remember, is like, it just breaks down immediately. The breakdown in chain of command is crazy. And then you have Telly being like, get this the fuck together. I'm not going to jail for this. And he forgets like his knife whatever holster.
Yeah, the scabbard.
There, Marty does, which is crazy, and they have to go back for it and shit.
Or sheath, not
scabbard. I love sheath. There you go. Yeah, and it is crazy. Yeah, that makes sense. He's bigger and he's bad. It take a lot of people to try to kill him, and he wasn't necessarily even dead. They throw him in the water to drown him, essentially. You have Marty slitting his throat. Gets hit with the head with the baseball bat. It is visceral. And then you have everything just kind of falls apart so quickly after that. I do love that he's devoured by crabs when they go back. Like he's gonna get devoured by alligators, and there's just crabs feasting on him. Like, damn, that's gross. And then it just all breaks down really fucking quickly. Like, everyone just starts telling everybody. And I was like, damn, I would not want to be in a conspiracy with these people. It is crazy. Like, everyone's just telling everybody.
Yeah, I was literally saying, like, what the like, I was laughing and saying, what the fuck, to the screen during this part.
Well, I mean, she was even telling people beforehand, though, like, hey, do you know anybody where we can kill Bobby?
Yeah.
And like
Lisa, yeah, man, like her stuff's just like surreal almost in the way she goes up to her friend. She's like, so we killed Bobby, and I want you to help me drive to the location so I can check it out. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, she thought her first, like, oh yeah, fuck him.
You like gets pissed at her when she's like, I gotta go to work. It's like, just ask you for a ride. Like, God, like, what? Why are you being so stupid? Like, just it has this like really that like not based in reality reaction. Like, what? How could you do this to me? You're being such an asshole. I'm like, you're asking me to drive to this place where you all committed murder and like implicate me. Like, I gotta go to work. And, like, you're such an asshole. All you do is think about yourself.
I hope you never need some help in your life, so I can not help you.
Yeah. Very it's very teenager immature. It shows that the immaturity of these kids and like the lives they lead of, they didn't really have much going on. As dropouts or just getting high. They're just doing whatever. So the carry through for after they actually commit the act and are trying to keep it together, that it's like a house built on a house on sand, it just falls together completely and quickly.
Yeah. And then cousin Derek just spills it all, that one kid. He was like, I need an alibi.
Like,
who would do that?
He's like, oh, here,
that made me laugh.
This guy will be my alibi.
What kind of idiot would help you do that?
Yeah.
Well, then please don't have to do much.
Then it sounds like it was Allie who's talking to her parents. Like, well, what if I just call an anonymous tip? Like, they won't do anything, right? And that's at least the movie. I'm not sure how if that really she did do that in real life. But then from there, it's like somehow what is it? Lisa calls Marty and it was like, somebody put in an anonymous tip. It's like, well, it's kind of, how would she know? Right.
Yeah. And in real life, Derek was the one who actually ended up like talking to his mom about it, I think. And they went to Lisa's mom, and one of their brothers was friends with cops. And that's how they It was Derek who spilled the beans.
It was Derek who started like the chain reaction there. Yeah.
They cut deals. That's why Derek got out. Like, he was out before the movie even aired on screens.
Yeah, he served like 7 years, I think it was.
Wow. Yeah, because it happened in 1993. So they made this like what 9 years after.
Yeah, it was really fresh. I heard an anecdote that like when they were filming, they'd see like sidewalks where literally like Bobby had written his name in the sidewalk while it was drying.
Yeah,
it was really fresh.
And they filmed it like that. That must have been pretty wild too. Like the fact that his father, the victim's father, like Bobby's father, worked at the lab where the film was being processed, and they used a real courtroom, right? They're using these locations, the apartment building where one of them lived, and it's got to be really crazy to think that it's all like there.
Okay, so I got my story a little wrong. It turns out Lisa told her mom, who contacted her sister, which was Derek's mom, and they both talked to their brother, who had friends in the police department. So I just had Lisa was wrong, but Derek was the one who like did the cooperative interview and confessed everything.
I think they make that clear in the movie. Yeah, because the sentencing scene we're about to get to at the end, where it's just like he gets nothing and everyone else gets like life in prison or put to death.
So that's why, in the movie, she's like, oh, someone has an anonymous tip. Well, it was, she told her mom, but, it just happened to be it.
I love that scene. Allie, what are you guys getting involved with? So I'm just asking, Mom. Yeah, they crack under pressure, and I love the scene where the SWAT team breaks in and arrests Marty.
The guy with the gun in the front was one of the actual detectives.
Yeah, it's surreal, right? Because it's like, what the fuck? That's not how it happened. Come on.
He just grabs the younger brother as a meat shield and goes through that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Damn, that's some crazy shit. But I love also the ending scene here where they have the sentencing. I don't have the exact things, but it's like you have this, I guess, I don't know what song it is. It's like some rapper song, but they have it like echoing and delaying almost like we do on the show, and just gets more and more feedback as it goes along. And it is like stark and like almost scary. It's creepy. And it leads along and it gets to the worst one, which is Marty who's like being sentenced to death. And that's like the ending stinger.
Yeah,
and it's really sad because there's a kid coming.
They switched his sentence, right? Like he's just life in prison now, or is he still on death row?
There's a foreword at the end of the movie because by the DVD release or whatever, which we had access to, like at least the elements for that, he had put an update, Larry Clark, where he's like, yeah, he got life in prison because I think they outlawed that. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in Florida, but they did give him a lesser sentence. But the movie, if you just watch that without going through the credits, you're like, oh my God, he's sentenced to death. He's going to die.
No, it's like that's the last frame, right? That's how it closes.
And that is bully, guys. I did like the courtroom scene where they're fighting. Like that's supposed to be real life. Like that's how it happened. They're like, no one's taking blame for the things even then in the courtroom. I did also love, we mentioned earlier the Larry Clark. They call over to see what Telly's doing. Telly's already been arrested.
Yeah.
But that's bully. I guess some lingering thoughts, some trivia. They use the word fuck and its derivatives 274 times throughout this film. As of December 2024, 4 of the 7 characters who were convicted and sent to prison for their roles in Bobby Kent's death have been out of prison for decades. Heather Swallers, Allie Willis, Derek DeVerco, and Lisa Connolly. Swallers and DeVerco had both been released on parole before the movie even released, so Heather and Derek. And Allie was released only 2 months before its 2001 premiere. Marty Puccio, Donnie Semenik, and Derek Kaufman remain incarcerated, and there are no indication of any of them are going to be released on parole in the near future. asked if what the artistic justification for the exploitative scene in which Allie, played by Bijou Phillips, sits on the chair in short cutoffs. Larry said, Bijou shows up for work without panties. She's playing Allie, and Allie's a little whore, you know? Bijou's perfect for the role. And if she turns up for the role and no panties, I'm going to make the shot. So I have no justification. I just like the shot. The other note about the plainclothes officer is Frank Lazzara, a real-life police detective who arrested the real Marty Puccio 93. His character is listed in the credits as Detective Frank Lazzara, playing himself. Brad Renfro and Bijou Phillips also starred in the movie the same year together called Tart from 2001. And Nick Stahl and Daniel Franzese would later appear together in On the Inside from 2011. And Letterboxd reviews. This has a 3.5 star rating on Letterboxd, or average on Letterboxd. There's 523 fans, it looks like. I think this movie's pretty popular, and 3.4 is not bad rating for Letterboxd. You had one review here that you pointed out by Sally Jane Black, Joey, and it said, I think the film is pretty solid evidence that Larry Clark is an asshole. You just thought that was funny?
I just thought it was funny, yeah.
Was the review like thoughtful and awesome? Should we tell people to check it out?
I mean, it's like the top one on there, so why not? You know.
I was about to say Spaghetti's about to come in here.
Yeah, Sally Jane Black annoys the hell out of me, but it's all good.
Oh, so she's a prominent reviewer on Letterboxd.
Yeah, popular. Yeah, very militant and a lot of like cancel culture kind of crap, and it's like, shut up.
Yeah, Spaghetti's big time on Letterboxd. Check out his review of Bully. He's got like his first review, and then you can listen to his thoughts on the second watch. It's pretty interesting. I liked it.
Yeah.
See if we could get her on the podcast.
Let's get Sally Jane Black versus Spaghetti on the podcast.
There we go.
That'd be a one for the ages.
There you go.
we'll pick up something really controversial.
She'll talk about North Korea the whole time.
Yeah, dude, let's watch the North Korean kaiju movie.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, last review. Not a cell phone in sight from Cinematic Void. Just a dysfunctional kids living in the moment, engaging in despicable acts of violence. I wish we could go back to that.
Yeah.
It's so funny watching Bully because we just talk. Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, I know that person too. So.
Cinema Void?
Yeah.
I wish it's so funny. We've talked about Lily Shushu and all that. We just keep talking about bullies and shit. But, roses are red, violets are blue. Florida is humid and your friends might kill you. I was trying to really bring in the Valentine's Day stuff. It didn't really happen. But this movie does represent like pre 9/11 America in a lot of ways. So, I think all of us remember that. I'm the youngest one here, I think. TRL era, mall culture, early cell phones, the last gasp of analog teenage life. I want to take a breather here.
Hello, everybody. It's Joey from Kentucky.
You an asshole.
I want to start with Adam. Adam, would you recommend Bully? Or I guess we didn't do this earlier, so whatever. Would you recommend Bully? What do you think about Bully? What are your thoughts? Give us your give us your sell.
I think it's, when people talk about method acting, they'll say, why does nobody ever method act as a nice person? And, like I said earlier, I think Larry Clark, part of him hates teenagers. And that was my big takeaway from this movie and I think you talked about it, Dan, how he has kind of like a conservative bent on this view. Would I recommend this movie? Obviously not to everybody. I don't know if I would recommend this to myself to watch again. My same thought I had the same thought watching this that I had watching Kids, where I was like, man, this is the sweatiest and acne-filled movie I've ever seen.
I still haven't rewatched Kids, exactly.
But as much as I have this like need to hate on things, and as much as I would want to hate on this movie, I still can't, because like, if you're into like that gritty, real, fuck off. that gritty, real, I'm trying to remember that French style of filmmaking where it was like trying to get away from all the, like any type of surrealism, type of
cinema verde.
Yeah. Where it's just like, and this is like the American version of that, which of course is going to be, it's going to have a little bit more Eminem and Dr. Dre in its DNA. And so if you're in this, if you're willing to put yourself through something like that, you know, there is a bit of catharsis in this movie, just because you could, you know, when the murder happens, it's like the big oh shit point, and then everyone goes to jail, and you're like, damn. So yeah, I would lightly recommend this movie if you're into something that's going to upset you and your parents.
Thank you.
No. Yeah.
MJ, would you recommend Bully?
Yeah, I'll recommend it. I think I like it better than Ken Park. I would say it's the fact that it's more like narrative driven, based on true events, and you know. So I when I first watched it in my 20s, I was like, oh, I was probably telling people about it, like, oh, you gotta see this movie, It's crazy. Now it's, you know, it's not for everyone. Understanding that people may not, it could be a real turnoff. Just like a lot of things, you're either gonna like it or you're not. I think even if you're just interested from a sense of seeing that place and time in the early, and I guess the other thing is this was kind of the time jump. It happened in 93, but you know, you have the Dr. Dre and Eminem song. It was clear. It's like there's a little bit of a time jump in the movie. But yeah, and if you're interested in, if you like these other types of movies with like Larry Clark or like Harvey Korine, I think you gotta watch it, right? And if you're in that vein, that's what you should do for Valentine's Day. Is, you know, sit down, make a nice candlelit dinner, and, you know, open up a bottle of wine, maybe a little surf and turf, and Bully's on the menu for dessert. Why not?
Thank you, MJ.
I was kind of cringing a bit watching this.
Spaghetti, give me your spiel.
Some steamed crab. So yeah, I'm just piggybacking off of, you know, everybody's what they're saying is, yeah, absolutely, I'd recommend it. I mean, obviously to the right person who's able to handle the mentalities of it and go from there. But yeah, one correlation I definitely like, and this ties in with, you know, your guys' podcast here, is this movie's been a long time coming to be on here. As far as, you know, it all started with, you know, obviously, when was the kids one? Like 2024? Is that how old that one was?
It was when you last watched this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a while ago, the kids episode. But yeah, and that was the correlation, and we were talking about, you know, who had the heavier influence, because there's a lot of people out there that thought Harmony Korine actually directed Kids, and it's very much shows now. We've sort of come full circle, even though, you know, you've gone through all of the Harmony Korine movies, and then they did Ken Park, which is also Korine and Clark together collaborating after the fact kind of thing. But then this one really shows, you know, Larry Clark on his own platform without Korine, and you could really compare and contrast the two. And it really, Larry Clark is all about the aesthetic of it. And I know we didn't bring up in this episode, but he did the book Tulsa, which I always sort of like to bring up when we talk about Larry Clark. And he sort of grew up in this atmosphere. So yeah, he hates teenagers, but it's almost like he sort of hates himself, because he grew up taking photographs of a group of kids that were just like himself. And like, I know in Ken Park, we were talking about like the pregnant lady who was like drinking a beer in that movie. He has pictures of a pregnant lady shooting up heroin and stuff like that. So he's from that grim culture also, just within his own time. But yeah, definitely the sweatiness of it, the naturality of it, that's a lot of Larry Clark's doing. And I really think Harmony Korine was more of the schizophrenic kind of atmosphere. And so both of them together is definitely a tour de force. But yeah, I a big fan of this movie in the sense that I cut my teeth learning about film on what I like to call as outsider cinema. And outsider cinema was that big film movement in the 2000s, maybe a little bit in the late 90s, but primarily the early 2000s as well, where you had a lot of the, it's like, when Miramax came to be and stuff like that, but you had all these independent directors that were able to come forward and do their independent projects. And I always I throw Harmony Korine in there and I throw Larry Clark in there, but others like, you guys talked about Todd Haynes on this podcast. He did Safe. And then Todd Solondz I throw in there. Gus Van Sant I sort of throw in there. But it's almost like they give this cold, raw view of a film. It's almost alien in form. And you're watching an interpretation of the events on Earth that's just completely just raw and uncut and kind of unfiltered. So that's my mentality on this. So yeah, definitely, long story short, definitely recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you, Spaghetti. That's a beautiful, you made me think of things to say, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Adam had to disappear mid through that, so no offense to you. He's got stuff to do. This has been a long episode. We're finishing up here. Joey, that leaves you, and then me, but I'll be quick. Joey, this leaves you. I want you to give me your spiel on Bully. Give me everything. Don't hold back.
I was just like, ooh, this is rated R, and there's there's sexy stuff in it.
So yeah, I mean, to echo everybody else's sentiment, it's one you have to pick and choose. I would call this a friendship test movie. If you want to see if someone's still going to be your friend after, this is one of the movies you can show them. Maybe not on like, Silo or something like that. But, it is definitely one of those like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? But honestly, if you're talking to me and hanging out with me and watching a movie with me, you probably shouldn't, already fall in that category. I do like what Spaghetti just said about, it's like these filmmakers kind of moved into like when the erotic thriller and shit like that and Skinamax started to fall out of favor and people wanted a little bit more. And you would start to see these on HBO, like he was talking about, like, Gus Van Sant, To Die For, which was a good one, in the 90s to start off things like this. The true crime type stuff, Elephant was another one of his, and Freeway coming on HBO. I think of all these things as like, the fucked up shit like you say, you caught 45 minutes in and you saw a titty and you stuck through the rest, and then you're like, oh shit, I wonder when this comes on again. You looked it up and okay, it's going to come on at 12:45 on Saturday. I'm going to try to watch it, I definitely think so. It's that era of right before cell phones and social media, not social media, but before cell phones and everybody had the internet. I had the internet at this time, so I could have looked all this stuff up. Even in I guess when this came out in 2001, you still probably had of an average high school, maybe 30% of kids had a cell phone, and that was because they got a car and their parents wanted them in case they broke down. And if you're lucky, maybe half of your classmates had dial-up. Most people were checking their email at school. That's the only way they had the internet. So this was a time right before that was encapsulated. And like we had talked about before, I think, Dan, it's like the TRL era and, forgot about Dre, Eminem. It's really weird to think about, Slim Shady came out in like 99 or whatever it was. I think I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
So it's like, Christ, that's almost 30 years ago, But it's definitely, like I say, if you're into weird stuff and gritty and exploitive shit, then yeah, definitely watch this movie.
Thank you, Joey.
$624.
So my last words, well, almost last words here, just want to bring up because you made me think of it. Yeah, Tulsa by Larry King. What's his name? Larry Clark.
Larry King Live.
Can you imagine Larry Clark Live?
Yeah, there you go.
Smoking while pregnant. Lisa's smoking while pregnant in this movie, and that obviously reminds you of Ken Park, etc. My only last point is like Gummo and Julian Donkey Boy do feel different than Kids, Bully, and Ken Park. They feel different stylistically. They're their own thing, and that kind of, like you were saying, that's a great kind of addition to this series and etc. We've talked about a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it for me and Bully. We have talked a fuckload about this movie. I do have one last thing to read off here, just as a further thing. This is from Fitzpatrick, Leo Fitzpatrick. He said, I think with Larry, the whole thing is that he believes he started taking photographs too late in life, and he kind of wishes he photographed his own puberty, and that's why he's so obsessed with it. And the older he gets, the further he gets away from that. And when he was doing his famous 1971 photo book Tulsa, he was always a few years older, which is why you don't really see him in many of the photos, because he was too old to be participating, except for the drugs. But the sex stuff, he couldn't be in those photos because he was older than the people. He's so obsessed with this idea that the more happens to you in 3 years than will happen to you in the rest of your life. And I don't think he'll ever be satisfied. What people don't understand is that Larry respects teenagers more than he respects adults. And for a lot of teenagers, this is the first adult who's telling them what you're doing is right. That's why kids are so comfortable around him, because he's an adult you can trust. And a lot of people have their own opinions about Larry, and I let them have those opinions. But I also try to explain, the best I can, that he is actually not exploiting these people. He's trying to shine a light on them.
I was just like, ooh, this is rated R.
But that's it. That's it, folks. I will read a review from Roger Ebert after the credits roll, but I'll leave that for myself personally. But he loved the movie, if you're curious. 4 out of 4 stars. Roger Ebert loved this shit. So that's a good recommendation for him as well. I recommend this movie wholeheartedly. I want to thank all of my guests. Some have had to leave because it's the longest podcast we've ever done. But MJ, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you guys for having me.
Where can we find you? What is your tag on Letterboxd?
I think it's MJ Brennan. You know, I need somebody to help me find it. Like, I don't even use it.
Yeah, I'll post
it in
it
the Discord. Here's in the Discord and help me with it.
Yeah, come to the Discord, and I'll post in the description. Look in there. Spaghetti, thank you for joining. Thanks for joining our extra special Sunday Super Bowl special Valentine's Day Bully episode. I appreciate you.
Yeah, glad to be here, and I'm glad that I've sort of hung in there since I was there since kids, and there's a couple Harmony Korean episodes that I unfortunately missed, but I do feel like it's a little bit of a full circle kind of thing that we eventually got to Bully. So glad I was invited on.
I want to mention I didn't know Spaghetti was coming. This was a complete surprise. I didn't want to bug him, and so I didn't. And then you just showed up today, so like that's why I'm saying like thank you, man. That's awesome. You made this episode even better, man. Like I can't thank you enough, and that goes for Joey as well. Basically, my research assistant for this episode and last episode. You've saved this podcast. I appreciate you a lot, keeping the boat rolling. You're welcome back whenever, all of you. I love you guys.
I was kind of cringing a bit watching this.
But that's it. Joey from Kentucky is on Letterboxd. Is that right?
Yep. Joey from KY all together.
That's it, guys. I appreciate you, and I'm going to play our outro tune. Check us out and tell your friends about us.
All right.
That's our show. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Yo, we from the planet Jazz. We're here to take over your honky asses, including you, host of the show.
Jazz alien Quado Mono invented the Big 5 sound.
Yo, we're taking you to hell. You could be in hell, bitch.
White monkey.
This is Roger Ebert's review of Bully from 2001. It was published on July 20th, 2001. Roger Ebert gave the film 4 out of 4 stars. Larry Clark's Bully calls the bluff of movies that pretend to be about murder, but are really about entertainment. His film has all the sadness and shabbiness, all the mess and cruelty and thoughtless stupidity of the real thing. Based on a real story from 1993, it tells the story of a twisted high school bully and a circle of friends who decide to kill him. But this is not about the evil sadist and the release of revenge. It's about how a group of kids will do something no single member is capable of. and about the moral void these kids inhabit. Clark moved to the Hollywood, Florida suburb where the actual murder took place, and sees it as a sterile expanse of identical homes, strip malls, and boredom, where the kids drift from video arcades to fast food hangouts, and a car means freedom. There is no doubt a parallel universe in this same suburb filled with happy, creative, intelligent people and endless opportunities. There always is. But these kids are off that map. They are stupid by choice, not necessity. They have fallen into a slacker subculture that involves leading their lives in a void that can only be filled by booze, drugs, sex, and the endless, aimless analysis of their pathetic emptiness. The movie is brilliantly and courageously well acted by its young cast. It's one of those movies so perceptive and wounding that there's no place for the actors to hide, no cop-out they can exercise. Their characters bleed with banality and stupid, doped reasoning. Their parents are not bad, and for the most part not blamed. Their children live in a world they do not understand or in some cases even see. We meet Marty Puccio, played by Brad Renfro, and Bobby Kent, played by Nick Stahl. For as long as Marty can remember, Bobby has picked on him, and we see it as a daily ordeal. The ear twisting, the hard punches, the peremptory orders, get back in the car now. The demands that he go where he doesn't want to go, and do what he doesn't want to do. In a key scene, Bobby takes him to a gay strip club and makes him dance on stage while patrons stuff bills into his shorts. Marty is not gay. Bobby may be. Certainly his relationship with Bobby is sublimated S&M. Marty and Bobby meet Allie and Lisa, played by Bijou Phillips and Rachel Miner respectively. Bobby eventually rapes both girls. He also likes to watch Marty and Lisa in the back seat. He is, we sense, evil to the core. Something has gone very wrong in his life, and maybe it was engendered by the authoritarian style of his father, who likes to dominate people under the guise of only doing what's right for them. The movie establishes these kids are in a larger circle of friends, including the tall, strong, and essentially nice Donnie, played by Michael Pitt, the anything goes Heather, played by Kelly Garner, and Derek, played by Daniel Franzese, along for the ride. It watches as they drift from coffee shops to malls, to one another's cars and bedrooms, engaged in an endless loop of speculation about the only subject available to them, their lives. The leadership in circle shifts according to who has a strongly held opinion. The others drift into line. A consensus begins to form that Bobby deserves to be killed. At one point, Lisa simply says, "I want him dead." It's chilling, the way the murder is planned so heedlessly. The kids decide they don't know enough to do it themselves and need to hire a hitman. This turns out to be Leo Fitzpatrick from Clark's powerful first film, Kids, who is essentially a kid himself. The conspirators vaguely think his family is mafia, although his qualifications come into question when he worries that car horns will bother the neighbors. Eventually we get the priceless line, "The hitman needs a ride." The details of the murder are observed, unblinkingly, in a scene of harrowing, gruesome sadness. It is hard, messy work to kill someone. Once the body is disposed of, the arguments begin almost immediately. Everybody had a hand in the assault, but nobody actually can be said to have delivered the fatal blow. And we watch incredulously as these kids cave in to guilt, remorse, grief, blaming one another, and the irresistible impulse to tell outsiders what happened. Clark's purpose in the film is twofold. He wants to depict a youth culture without resources, and to show how a crowd is capable of actions its members would never commit on their own. In Kids, 1995, and in this film, the adult society has abandoned these characters, done little to educate or challenge them, or to create a world in which they have purpose. One of Bobby's sins, which I neglected to mention, is that he's still in high school and has plans to go to college. The others live with fast food jobs and handouts from parents. And Allie has a revealing line. "I was married once for about 3 weeks. I have a little boy, but it's no big deal. My parents take care of him." Kids takes place in Manhattan and Bully in South Florida, but these kids occupy essentially the same lives and have the same parents, share the same futures. It may be that Bully helps to explain the high school shootings. We sense the chilling disconnect between an action and its consequences, the availability of firearms, the buildup of teenage resentments and hatreds, the moral vacuum, the way they can talk themselves into doing unthinkable things, and above all, the need to talk about it. So many high school shooters leave diaries and web pages and tell their friends what they plan to do. Yes, Bobby Kent is a bully, and one of the most loathsome characters I've seen in a movie. But he dies not for his sins, but because the killers are so bored and adrift, and have such uncertain ideas of themselves. Larry Clark is obviously obsessed by the culture of floating, unplugged teenagers. Sometimes his camera seems too willing to watch the scenes of nudity and sex, and there is one particular shot that seems shameless in its voyeurism. You'll know the one. But it's this very drive that fuels his films. If the director doesn't have a strong personal feeling about the material like this, he shouldn't be making movies about it. Clark is not some objectified outside adult observer making an after-school special, but an artist who has made a leap into this teenage mindscape. Some critics have attacked him as a dirty old man with a suspect relationship to his material. If this film had been directed by a 25-year-old, some of these same critics might be hailing it. I believe Bully is a masterpiece on its own terms, a frightening indictment of a society that offers absolutely nothing to some of its children, and an indictment of the children who lack imagination and courage to try to escape. Bobby and his killers deserve one another.